Why is it bringing up
Giving me the definition of too much.
too
Listen,
much?
listen to this. An intolerable, impossible, or exhausting situation or experience. Yes.
I didn't know that it would define two words together.
Apparently. Used in a sentence, too much, the effort proved too much for her. Indeed.
My mega dick proved too much for her.
Too much energy. Beast Wars!
Man, these things look like toys.
I don't even have a mouth, Megatron.
No!
I am transformed.
Sigma balls, Gary.
Maximal! Maximal! Does that mean transform?
Trying is better than nothing, much like this podcast.
Oh no, not that.
Welcome back, listeners, to episode 100 of Too Much Energon. That's right, 100 episodes.
One
Juicing
hundo.
up. 100 episodes. That's exactly how much you need to juice up to defeat Megatron on Too Much Energon.
Wait, are we
Doubtful.
talking? Are we talking Megatron? Or are we talking Galavar? Are we talking Galvatron?
We're talking Galavar.
Okay.
Come on. You think juiced up Pterosaur can...
Sexy pterosaur, if you will.
You think sexy Pterosaur could beat OG Megatron? Please. But then again, the Predacons can be blasted to bits and be put back together.
Yep.
And
Not
much
so.
like...
Not so with the Autobots and Decepticons.
And speaking of blasted to bits and put back together, this intro, Too Much Energon. The podcast where Mr. Siege and NeoCal talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. And on our very special 100th episode, we are finishing off the War for Cybertron Kingdom, Chapter 6.
Kingdom.
Battle for Robot Planet.
Empire. To me, I love it when things come full circle. It's the creative writing student
You
in me,
son of a
I think.
bitch.
I love it when things come full circle. And to me, and this was absolutely 100% not planned, but episode 1 of Too Much Energon obviously was about the first episode of Beast Wars, the first appearance of the beasts of planet Energon. And episode 100 is about War for Cybertron Kingdom, episode 6, the latest appearance of the beasts of planet Energon. And to me, that feels really just the stars like aligning perfectly.
99 problems and Beast Wars ain't one of them.
I got
Yeah.
99 I got 99 episodes and a beast ain't one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, just well, you got that I heard you got the clap, good buddy, so rub some calamine lotion on it and crack open a nice ice cold Budweiser. Yeehaw.
a lukewarm pack of Lucky. It's been sitting in the back of the truck for 2 weeks.
Lucky for the American
I was just
listeners.
going to say, Lucky is like what? What's the equivalent?
Lucky is like very like low grade
Pabst?
Canadian redneck beer. It's fucking terrible. It astonishes me that people drink it. But those Canadian rednecks who like to go out for a rip really like it. I'm surprised in that song "Out for a Rip" he doesn't shout out Lucky.
I'm a little surprised too, but that must be more of a West Coast thing.
Could be, yeah.
Just like more of a West Coast thing, we got West Side versus East Side going on in War for Cybertron Kingdom. But before
East Side.
we go and we go throwing up whether you're West Side or East Side, someone's got an addition to the family, certain siege.
Yeah, so I'm going to I'm going to preface this by saying apologies in this episode if you hear me clearing my throat or coughing or whatever. I have a bit of a throat infection right now. Um, very, and I looked it up. I'm not going to go into what it is, but it's something very obscure and very weird, and it just
Which may or may not be related to snorting ground up powdered Energon.
sure, yeah, yeah. With me, like things like the common cold or the flu, etc., etc. I don't get sick from those really ever. But when I do get sick, it's something really fucking weird and rare. Like I once got an illness that was actually, to be perfectly honest, life-threatening. I once got an illness that was life-threatening that was so rare and bizarre. The doctors were asking me if I had been to like the tropics recently. And I'm like,
Have you been to like
and I'm like, no.
have you been to Madagascar in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, yeah, it was like that level of questioning. So when I get sick, it's weird and it's rare. And indeed, I have a throat thing that is weird and rare, and I don't know how I got it. um, but anyway, so
Nobody
yes,
does.
nobody does.
Not
Nobody
even the
will.
doctors.
It might be that fucking. Might be
Also,
from
it's
that
Halloween.
fucking. Might be from that fucking crazy lady that I was sort of dating.
I bet you that's what it is. That
There
we go. Everything makes sense now.
Real quick, listeners, I was kind of sort of seeing this chick for like the past like month or so, off and on, and she really outed herself to being extraordinary.
Completely normal?
Yes, yes, that's yeah.
Too basic for you. Way too mentally stable. You know, had to live, laugh, love like mug.
On lengthy unhinged text messages going off at me, accusing me of things that I never even said or did.
So what you're saying is she's going to be watching this and she's going to take you down.
God, I hope not. Anyway, yeah, so when I was at the clinic, I went to a walk-in clinic the other day and was because I knew something was wrong with my throat and like my lymph nodes in my neck had been hurting. So I'm like, okay, there's something up. I have some kind of infection. So I went and got it, put my name in it at the walk-in clinic, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be like, a few hours wait time. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I walked around, and there was a store in the city that I live in currently, Nanaimo, British Columbia, called Pyramid Games, and I'd been trying to go there a few times over since I moved back here. I'd been trying to go there, but they always seem to be closed. But they happen to be located like pretty much right across the street from the mall where this walk-in clinic that I had checked in at is located. And so I walked out and noticed that they actually were open. So I'm like, oh, hey, cool. So I went in there looking for Transformers. And, well, the store was interesting.
Oh? I'm checking out their website right now.
It's no cherry bomb. Think of the toy and video game store equivalent of your boomer uncle's giant garage filled with just stuff everywhere, completely disorganized, discombobulated.
I'm looking at their Facebook page, and it kind of looks like a pawn shop.
It has that vibe.
It has big pawn shop energy.
I'm not trying to throw shade at Pyramid Games. The I went in there and I found something really cool, and I found another thing too that I'm probably going to go back and purchase when I have a little bit more money. Um, not trying to throw
Okay,
shade at
they
them.
got a lot of they're making the most of the space they have. I'll say that.
It's just on the interior is just very disorganized compared to what I'm used to
Yeah.
in terms of buying old used toys.
Yeah.
But I was in there for probably a good hour and a half, like just perusing, like trying to find Transformers in the like 12 different places that they had Transformers located. And I was
Okay, yeah. The organization is a little bit off.
And I was about to give up. I was quite literally about to ask, because I came in with a backpack, and they were like, the guy was like, "Hey, we ask everyone if everyone who has backpacks if they can give them to us so we can
Leave them
keep
behind the counter.
leave them behind the counter." And I'd never been in there before, so I didn't know that. But I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, no, totally." And I'm like, "Hey, I get it. This is a really shitty part of town." Because it is. But yeah, so I was about to ask for my backpack back, and I noticed behind the counter, buried beneath like a bunch of like random stuff, there was like an entire row of like boxed Transformers. And I'm like, oh. And again, this is
Ooh.
when I was about to leave.
You didn't
I
even
was
notice, yeah.
I was like, oh, this is the treasure trove that I've been looking for. And so I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I see a thing that I want to give a shout out to canonized listener Lady Glitch, uh, a thing that I discovered because she had taken a photo of the Transformers at a toy store where she lives in Georgia, and I became aware of this specific toy because it just happened to be in this photo that she took. And so I went on the old trusty TF wiki to figure out what it was. And I'm like, oh, this thing became like very high up on my to buy list. But I never found it in Victoria, but I happened to find one in this like buried treasure trove behind the counter at Pyramid Games in Nanaimo.
Oh.
And here he is. If you're an audio listener, link in the description for the video. Go check out the video version.
Follow
Here,
us on social media. Maybe we'll post it there.
I'm pretty sure I already posted it to the Too Much
Oh
Energon
yeah, I think you
Twitter
already.
page.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But here he is, big time Gary himself.
Big time Gary.
This is the in box, and the box is in still in quite good condition. This is the 2016 20th anniversary Beast Wars, Year of the Monkey, Optimus Primal.
The box looks sick. And there he is, folks.
So this is a redeco of Beast Machine's Air Supreme class, just like that unholy abomination of Cheetor that I own. Supreme class, Air Attack Optimus Primal from Beast Machines.
I noticed that it wants you to press something there.
The batteries in him are dead, unfortunately. I already tried. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's probably needs some juice.
Yeah, it's a 6-year-old toy at this point.
What is it supposed to make a sound like?
Uh,
I can only hope it's Gary Chalk going, "Ugh!"
According to the TF wiki, they actually changed they changed the sound chips, so he says different things than the original version of the toy. In the original version of the toy, I think it was actually our man Gary himself like saying stuff, but I think this version just says generic things like transform and till all are one. So he's redecoed to give him a color scheme reminiscent of G1 Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
The
He's got
the,
some
the
red,
red and blue
blue.
and some black.
Wow. Not bad.
Sweet artwork
The
on
box art is pretty good.
here. Yes. Yeah, so I happened to find this at Pyramid Games, and they actually like we negotiated the price. And
So did it not do things have stickers with prices on there, or do they just kind of pick something up and go, what do you think? How'd that work?
Some of their items in there have price tags on them, but the guy told me, he's like, yeah, the price tags aren't really valid anymore because like what we do now is like we check some websites and we look at like what its current market value is, and then we negotiate from there. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And so I was like going to eBay along with the dude, looking this up, like looking up completed listings for like what it was going for, and then we just like kind of bartered a little bit for a price.
Okay, okay.
Which was kind of fun. I actually like I like haggling.
Yeah, me too, which is one of the reasons I like pawn shops.
Best I can do is 4 million Deceptibucks cash.
And due to inflation, like I don't know, what is that? A few loonies and a toonie?
Enough to go out for a rip.
Yeah, fiver.
And get a double at Timmy's.
Remember when like putting $5 of gas in a vehicle was like worth stopping at a gas station?
Remember when putting $2 worth of gas was worth stopping at a gas station? Because I certainly do. I was really young, but I remember like people being like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna stop and put $2 gas in."
Yeah.
Oh, times times they are a changing.
They certainly are. Come gather around, people, wherever you are. The amount of this is why the beast formers are so tiny and more energy efficient.
And
Energon prices fucking skyrocketed.
In other iterations of the beast formers, but not in the old War for Cybertron trilogy.
Different timeline.
Yeah. Different timeline results in the same characters being different levels of mass. And
oh, excuse me. I was kind of looking forward to like T-Rex Megatron being like handheld and then being like, "Oh, aren't these guys cute?" But
you know what I wanted to see? You know what I wanted to see was Battle David himself, Optimus Prime, going into truck mode, and our man Justin Primal like getting into the driver's seat. Like
a Mad Max Fury Road.
How fucking hype would that have been?
And then like the Predacons get inside Astro Train, right? Yeah. And there's a scene where they're like riding at each other. And the camera's switching back and forth, and it goes to the stick shift, and there's like a little skull that's like rattling. And there's like heavy rock.
Terrorsaur is like in the cockpit of Starscream.
I live, I die, I live again.
And on that note, this is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 100 of Too Much Energon, and this week we are talking about War for Cybertron Kingdom, Chapter 6, the final installment.
And if you wanted the ultimate crossover that deals with timey-wimey bullshit and almost every single Transformer era, then you've come to the right place, because we got time shenanigans aplenty.
And I like how they try to do they try to have an Avengers Endgame moment in this episode, and it kind of falls flat because like half of it is just refractors and seekers.
You made the joke before. I was gonna wait till we were at the part, but I was like, wow, look at all the dead friends coming to help us. Too bad like all of them are refractor. And just like the 15 dead seekers that they massacred. The nameless seekers that were just used as fodder.
Yeah.
And the redecals of what were the ones that died on the Autobot side? The redecals of
who are the Autobot redecos?
Was it not Red Alert? Not Ironhide.
not Sunstreaker, but I always like mix him up. But
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a super common mold. Even in the War for Cybertron trilogy, he was redecoed like so many times.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the ones that fall in the background for the Autobots, the refractor of the Autobots, if you will.
Yeah.
Can't even remember. So if you're a refractor redeco,
Sideways, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's his
yeah,
name. Yeah, he's like red. We see him in not in this, but in previous episodes of War for Cybertron, we've seen him on
here
the
or there
Autobots.
get shot, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what's happening? What's happening in chapter 6 here?
So the Autobots crash in the Ark. They crash land on planet Megatron, Cybertron itself. And to weirdly enough, to signify the fact that the planet is dying, we have snow because snow on this technological planet.
You know, like all the snow on Mars and the moon,
Yeah,
those dead.
snow, a thing that is specifically dependent on moisture in the atmosphere, which is dependent on having oceans, which Cybertron does not have, nor did it ever.
Climate change is a bitch. Yeah.
Fuck button, am I right?
Told you global warming was fake. Look
Now
how
give me
cold
that.
it is here.
Now we're gonna create some more jobs for oil. Yeehaw.
That's right. Heat up the atmosphere. So there's a nuclear winter for some reason to
Yeah.
make it cold and desolate feeling, I guess. But like there is an atmosphere on Cybertron, but that's to regulate like temperatures and gases and stuff like that because they do
And gravity.
have engines and it can retain that because there is gravity.
Yeah.
Right. So the planet's massive enough that it has a strong gravitational pull, and that's what holds in its atmosphere, just like Earth.
Right.
But the atmosphere is snow.
Yeah.
And moisture usually isn't good for
Metal.
anything.
Yeah.
But like now the planet's covered in snow, and so like you, the first thing, and I don't really care. It's aesthetic. It's providing
No,
atmosphere for the show, but at the same
I
time,
actually
I'm
like
like,
I really like a snowy aesthetic. Like
exactly. But
I
it's one of those things where I didn't even reach the elevator, didn't even reach the refrigerator.
yeah.
I was like, snow on my Cybertron? It's less likely than you think. But here we go. And but before we get to the snow, they're making multiple warp jumps through the mass effect relays, the mass relays, and
So-
Teletran's like, oops, dead universe, guys.
Yeah, I can't remember the episode, and listeners, if anyone remembers, feel free to let us know. But there is an episode of Stargate Atlantis where the Daedalus had to do this. They had to make a series of small jumps in rapid succession. And when I was watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, they clearly watched this episode of Stargate.
Oh, you feel it's very similar?
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. I think there was an episode of some Star Trek series where they had to do that too. They had to like drop out of warp and then go back into warp.
I feel like that there's this, like a common sci-fi. It's common enough that it's like
Yeah.
it's in sci-fi.
Do we
And
know why the Ark is doing this though?
I thought
No.
the first time it went into the dead universe was an anomaly, right? Because the space bridge was exploded at the same time they were passing through it. So kind of like their destination, like before AOL could connect to the internet, someone picked up the phone.
Right.
No, and you're in a space in between having warped, but technically having already warped, which put them in the dead universe. This
So
time
you're
they're just
you're
going
in the
through-
Matrix. You're in the Matrix, and you have picked up the phone, and you have dematerialized into the phone line, and you're doing that POV shot through the
through the
phone
data.
cord. through the data as the Matrix code
But
is
then
like
Agent
flying
Smith
all around
pulls
you.
pulls the landline out
And
of the
so you're
wall.
kind of just like chilling there with like Matrix code like surrounding you, being like, "Whoa!" Or like in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they're in the phone.
I knew exactly what you
yeah, when
meant.
they're in the phone booth, like traveling through time,
And the
and
antennas,
they're just all like, "Whoa!" Like,
and the antennas like sparking and breaking, and they're like,
yeah,
"We gotta fix it, man, quickly!" And they give everybody like
dude,
big
there's
chew.
something wrong with the booth.
No way! Yes way!
Listeners, I just rewatched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's a movie I do go back to, like probably once every couple of years. So I've rewatched it quite a bit. I own it
It's
on
one we
Blu-ray.
definitely need to do a.
I think that should be our
commentary
next.
on.
I think that should be our next.
There we go.
Commentary
I
track,
agree.
Totally. I just rewatched it recently. That movie is such a joy, and it is.
It's great.
And I always forget, like, just how, like, other than one, like, weird, like, homophobic slur that occurs, like, midway through the film, it's shockingly wholesome for what it
it's
is.
very wholesome.
It's, like, it's surprisingly wholesome. I'm
And even
like,
the slur or whatever, like if you take it as them like joking around, it almost transcends it. So like people that are comfortable with each other uh or are partners or like whatever or friends or whatever, they'll call each other like they'll drop the F-bomb or it'll be like, "Oh, what are you, gay?" It's kind of come full circle. Like calling stuff gay now is kind of like, at least on my Facebook feed, if you're listening to this in
it used to
conservative
be.
and you're shocked that most of my friends are are LGBTQ plus, I don't know what to tell you. But like now
I'm
calling
sure
stuff gay is
I'm
good.
I'm sure conservatives like gave up on this podcast like 90 episodes ago.
Yeah, you're not tuning in on level. I was gonna say level 100. Welcome to level 100 of the Matrix. The Oracle has been expecting you. If you're seeing common common themes along with the Matrix, that is not an accident.
Well, our current format in this podcast where we
To eat chips and to live react to the show.
if you're wondering what Cal is talking about, go to patreon.com.
And if you're wondering
/lasercomb.
The Siege is Sick, you get all the answers on the Patreon.
Oh fuck, I lost my train of thought there. No, okay, so our current format of Too Much Energon, as it stands now, where we kind of like bullshit for like 20 minutes or so and then talk about whatever we're talking about proper, was a format that we introduced with episode 36. So I feel like very shortly after episode 36 is when the right leaning listeners, the wrong leaning listeners, I'm just gonna come
Okay,
right,
because then we
right out
started
and
being
say
a
it.
little bit more personal and
Yeah. Just gonna come right out and say it. The wrong leaning listeners. I feel like that's when they checked out. Shortly after is when they would have checked out of this show if they had kept up to that point.
the thing is, I have so many like mild like friends and family. I even like align with a lot of things. Siege hates guns. I like guns. Right? One of us is pro-choice. The other one is pro-death. Nobody has kids. No. I made the mistake one time when I was really tired, talking about that, saying I was pro abortion
Yeah.
instead of
Pro death.
and I kind of like stuck with that because I got like the most evil kind of like look.
In a weird way, I kind of am pro death because I did die.
Pro death.
I did die by my own hand. That's a truth bomb
Wait,
right there.
folks. Try to figure out what Christopher's secret is. He's died. He's been struck by lightning. He has owned swords in the past, and nobody knows how old he is. And
Here,
if you look at one of his tattoos,
yeah, here I am, born to be a king.
I'm
Just
just
saying.
saying. What's the oldest picture you can find of Siege? I bet he looks exactly the same. Well, there we go.
Looking
Now we
up
know what
on
to make the
Lex,
musical
looking,
outro.
looking up on Lex Luthor's computer, you find a photo of me from like World War One, and I'm just like in the
Black and
background.
white picture.
Like, I'm just in the background, standing next to Wonder Woman. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Looking exactly as I do now, just with a less bullshit haircut.
This is a bullshit haircut. Yeah, we got Halloween colors. It's Halloween during the time of recording. We've got
Oh yeah.
autumn.
Happy Halloween, listeners. It's
Dia de
the
los
time of recording.
Muertos. Yeah.
It is Halloween.
Happy Spooktober. Happy Day of the Dead. Happy
Happy Gay Day.
is it Gay Day?
Every
I
day is
say
Gay
we
Day in
extend
Siege Town.
Pride Month. I say we extend Pride Month all the way into and through October. And then I will let the Christmas people have all of November. That's where those are my terms.
To mention canonized listener Lady Glitch again, apparently in her city of residence, their Pride Festival is coming up soon. So it works. It's kind
There you
of
go.
kind of gay season, you know.
Huh. Well, I know that in American, lots of different American cities, there are like Chicago has their like Pride Week or Pride time, like in a certain time, like in the fall or like
Yeah.
spring or whatever, and it kind of like jumps around to differentiate themselves from different like cities and stuff like that.
Right. And listeners, I'm just gonna warn you now. This is episode 100 of Too Much Energon. This is kind of a celebratory episode, so we're gonna veer off.
We're off the rails. We're everywhere, folks.
We're gonna veer off. We're gonna talk about whatever we want to.
Before we move away from the gay, quickly, what is your I posted recently on social media. What is your favorite non-binary candy of choice?
What are my choices?
Okay, let's see. You've got Smarties, not the American Smarties. Like the Nestle, like UK Smarties.
The American Smarties are called Rockets here, right?
They're called Rockets.
I love
Sorry,
those things.
we call them Rockets. They're like chalky. Like there you go.
I know-
That can be a non-binary.
I know you hate them. I love them though.
And in America, they're called Smarties,
Okay.
right? But we have like chocolate. They're like M&Ms here, but they're a big. They're very colorful. Smarties in Canada are like M&Ms, but we also have M&Ms. You've got that like candy tape thing, that sugary like rainbow. I've seen a meme calling it gay bacon.
Oh
what else we
yeah,
got?
I know what you're talking about, and it's coated in like thick like grains of sugar.
Yeah, exactly. That's what else? What's other non-binary candy? I want to say, and your choice too. Any candy technically. The only one I'll say is not non-binary is
Black licorice.
black licorice. That's non-binary. Or sorry,
That-
that is not non-binary.
Yeah, black licorice is very very male gendered.
That's
I feel.
I was gonna say exactly. That's very cishet. Take it or hate it or love it.
And for the record, I really like black licorice. I actually have some in my cupboard upstairs.
I've never met a single human being that said, "Oh, it's okay." Like like my partner, you either love it,
Yeah,
or
you love
hate
it or you
I've
hate
never
it.
met a single human being alive that's like, it's okay. No, No. I don't know what it is. I wonder if it's like one of those things where like you know how certain people what food is that? Certain people can detect like a really bitter what is that? It's not Chipotle. What's that food?
Cilantro.
Thank
Cilantro.
you.
Yeah.
I am like it's a C word. Certain people it tastes like soap,
Yeah.
and then other people it tastes fine.
I like cilantro, personally. I think it gives
I have the I it has that fucky taste for me.
it gives everything a really like fresh. Like it just tastes like freshness to me.
I taste the gross part in it.
Mm.
And I wonder if like licorice is somewhere in that. Where like there's this marker that half the population seems to have and the other don't, and you either hate it or love it.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's fair.
My other question, if you we didn't determine a non-binary, but we determined a very like a
A very
heteronormative
cishet
candy.
candy.
Um, and another one is we have our bags of Halloween candy. Um, what's the one that you trade that you don't really like? And what do you trade it for that you really like?
Oh God. I never really liked like Laffy Taffy.
Right. It's not the actual taffy or like caramel, like kind of like taffy, but it's that like pink, like brightly colored, like starbursty hard.
Insanely chewy. Like no, I never liked that.
Good choice. Good choice.
I never liked candy corn, which I always thought like hating candy corn was a thing that just everyone did, but much like in the mid 2010s, people suddenly rising up to declare their hatred for pineapple on
I
pizza.
fucking knew you were gonna say that, where it's like out of nowhere, people are like, fruit doesn't belong on pizza. And I'm like, what do you think tomatoes are? Fuck you.
You can even put other fruits on pizza. Apple is pretty good on pizza.
Pear,
Yeah, pear is
pear,
good on
goat
pizza.
cheese, mushrooms. Come at me.
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so much like people rising on the internet rising up to condemn pineapple on pizza, I've noticed lately people have been rising up to
Defend.
defend candy corn.
And guess what, my friend? I'm one of them. 10,
Oh,
12, 10, 12 years ago, a friend was like, no. You don't hate candy corn. We're going to a candy shop, like right now, like an actual like candy shop that just has candy, right? And we're going to try different candy corns. And when it's fresh, it's amazing. You'll see. And I'm like,
okay.
okay. And I went in and we got the typical like white, orange, yellow, like candy corn. And then another one that was like blue and it was like a light raspberry flavor. And then another one that was something, right? And it was so soft and it was so fucking good. I had realized growing up, it's adults just like putting like unpackaged, like stale, hard as shit candy corn in bags.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring you fresh fucking candy corn one day. You'll see, and you're gonna try it on air.
Okay, so when you come up, bit of a spoiler, listeners, but an upcoming holiday themed episode of Too Much Energon is going to be centered around the recently released Beast Wars Monopoly game. So when Cal comes up here to record that episode with me, and we might even have some guests on that episode too. You can I implore you to bring me high quality, not
Challenge
stale
accepted.
candy corn, and I will sample it on air. And this
And then spit it out
this is public record. I'm saying this on air right now. This is public record. I will, and if I will sample this shit on air, and if
Gary as your witness.
as Gary is my witness, if I end up liking this candy corn, I will not only eat the candy corn, but I will eat my words as well, good sir.
All right, there we go. It'll be a Christmas miracle.
Truly will.
And a Cybertron miracle with snow.
Right,
It's going to be a white Christmas. But it's kind of sad.
I'm dreaming of a white Cybertron, just
So-
like the one I used to rule. Yes.
Yes. There we go. Hey, last year you remixed a Beast Wars.
Oh, yeah, right. I turned a what was it? 'Twas the night before Christmas, and I made it Beast Wars themed.
Yeah.
I can
So
do that again.
maybe
White
we'll do
Christmas.
something like that again. Okay, so right away, like to kind of just jump back into this episode. Problems with snow aside, we kind of left everything at Cybertron on an awkward ending that didn't really explain what happened or who died in an explosion, or if they did, or if they survived. So to
Right.
come back and it's like presumably what, hundreds, thousands, a mystery time in the
Millions.
future, millions of time in the, well, technically if it's the Maximals it is millions, right?
Yeah.
It's just a dead Cybertron, and Optimus is like, I have to go and do this alone. And the Predacons, the Maximals, the Autobots, the Decepticons were all on the Ark, and they all teamed up, except they threw a couple people in jail.
They threw a bunch of the Predacons and Decepticons, including Starscream, which I found
They threw
weird.
Starscream in jail because he was acting crazy and wanted to sabotage the attempt to go through the sky bridge, because he's like, no, Unicron wants us to do that.
Oh,
so he
it's
was-
what he wants us to do.
And they throw him, like, in the drunk tank for the night, because they do let him back out.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they throw Starscream in the drunk tank, let him sleep it off, and everyone's like, okay, bye Optimus Prime. I guess we'll just hang out near the Ark.
Yeah. So Optimus Prime is like, or Battle David himself is like, everyone, I caused all of this by taking the Allspark off of Cybertron. I need to take the Allspark and do this alone. You need to wait here.
And everyone, including
And everyone's just like, okay. And so he transforms and like
including
drives
Justin
away.
Primal. Yeah, like everyone's like,
But Bumblebee, whom in this episode, you know what occurred to me? We've never seen Bumblebee transform in this entire series. He's always been in robot mode. We've never seen him transform into a VW bug. And it took me
"You
until
are
today.
right."
It took me until today to finally realize that, but we've never seen Bumblebee in punch buggy mode. And I'm like, why?
You're right.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, that's good. We've seen almost everyone.
Yeah, we've seen just about everyone transform. I don't think we've seen Elita
I was gonna say
transform.
Elita 1, no.
Ultra Magnus, I don't think we saw him transform.
Shockwave.
Shockwave, yeah. Soundwave.
No, we don't see Soundwave.
But
It's
given
that is weird, because like Starscream, for example, we've seen 100 times.
But I mean, to be fair, like with computer animation, like once they've created the model for someone like Starscream in jet mode, like it's really and like animated him transforming in a 3D space, like doing that over and over and over again is really easy. But
It's
like
not hand animated. They have it. They have the animations model saved because it's in a 3D engine. Yeah.
Right click, copy,
Paste.
right click, paste. Pretty.
Or for the advanced rocket
Control C.
tooth, for the advanced Rooster Teeth programmers out there, Control C, Control V. Showing off my programming skills, folks. Get in line, ladies. And
On the
gentlemen.
subject of Rooster Teeth animation, at the very beginning of the episode, the shot of the Ark looked so fucking terrible.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, what's going on here?
Like, it didn't look like a 3D model rendered in a 3D
But it also
space.
didn't look like a 2D art.
It looked, well, it looked like, okay, so remember the Donkey Kong Country games on Super Nintendo? What they would do is they would render, and this was revolutionary for the time. What they would do is they would create 3D models, and then they would take those 3D models and convert them into 2D sprites, which is why those games still like look so as good as they do.
And that technique was even continued with like Clay Fighters. Did anyone play Clay Fighters?
Fighters.
Yeah. And what else?
Mortal
Different, but the same technique, but different was Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat,
where
yeah.
it was live action people photographed, vectored into different hitboxes, but then made into 2D sprites.
Yeah. So the Ark here, what it looks like is it looks like a 3D model that has been rendered, but then converted into a 2D like
The
still
opposite.
image. Yeah. It's weird.
It kind of looks like that. Yeah.
It's weird.
I catch little things like that here or there throughout the show, but they don't tend to linger, and I'm always wondering why.
Well, and I think the reason why it stood out so much to me here is because, like, it's the opening shot of the episode, and it's like the Ark is like front and center. Like the Ark is like the main character of this particular scene. So it's like, why would you do, like, why wouldn't you want the Ark to look as good as possible? I don't understand.
Well,
But
it's the last episode, and there's a few things I don't understand, but
so anyway, Bumblebee catches up with Battle David, and he's like, "Hey, so you and I both know that all that stuff that you said back to the Autobots back there was
bullshit, dog.
It was bullshit, homie." And I actually really like this moment because Battle David he was like, I didn't want to say it in front of the others, but Cybertron's dead, and it's my fault. Like, I took this is all because of me. Like, I royally fucked everything up, and I don't know how to fix. I don't know if I can fix it. And Bumblebee is like, well, yeah, but you're still trying, and we like you, so we're supporting you in trying to do better.
And also, what other option?
Yeah.
What other options do we got?
Bumblebee mentions that the Alpha Trion protocols may be gone, but like they still chose him to kind of be the voice of reason to Battle David, basically.
And if Alpha Trion believes in him, then he's gonna believe in himself too. And yeah. I liked that scene.
I really liked this moment.
Bumblebee's words like stumble, and Optimus is like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Nothing. Don't look over there. Let's walk.
Don't look over in the direction that the Matrix is shining a beam of like a flashlight toward for some random reason."
It's like how in some open world games there's like a spell or like a marker on the compass that tell you where the objective is.
Yeah,
that's what the Matrix of Leadership does. It shoots a beam telling him where to go.
But it's weird because in the episode no one acknowledges it.
It's almost like they don't see it.
Yeah. But then
some allergens here, don't mind me.
But then why is it there? It's
I
just
wouldn't even say it adds anything.
no, it doesn't. It actually
It's just this
all
awkward beam shooting through the mist.
it adds confusion.
And indeed, this is kind of like the creme de la Cybertron episode where a lot of ideas are just kind of shoved into one episode.
Right.
And there's good and there's bad
good
from
and
that.
here we have more good, in my opinion, because what Bumblebee doesn't want David to go and see is the body of Elita 1.
Conveniently placed, not covered in snow.
Conveniently so that was a thought that I had too.
Whole buildings are covered in snow. But the
Elita
only
but
visible
Elita,
thing sticking out of the snow right here is...
So I'm gonna headcanon a little bit that the Matrix itself wanted Optimus to find her.
to feel extra bad.
To feel extra bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
actually, let's go with that. That's why the beam was shooting. Sure.
But
why
so
not?
he finds her corpse and he laments about her passing. I actually like teared up in this moment, not gonna lie. But then again, I'm admittedly a big ol' softy.
I
A softy.
there must have been parts of this show where I'm man enough that I admit when something gets me a little when there's something in my eye here or there. But I was just like, it felt maybe I should have watched. It depends on the mood I was in, maybe, but it kind of felt shoehorned into the plot because I never really felt any I didn't feel like Cybertron and the events that happened on it were resolved. Remember, there was an explosion at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Did Shockwave die? And the others were running, but they were shot and they were caught by like Seekers or just Decepticons that were also cloaked. But then the bombs went off and then everyone kind of blew up, or did they? That was a weird place to end it for me, and it didn't feel like that storyline was completed. If it had just flat out showed them dead,
Yeah.
I'm fine with not being told and with it being implied, but I was kind of expecting that to pick up a little bit or to show us who died, who didn't, how they tried to survive. But instead, Shockwave just kind of like is this evil villain with no end game. And then everything blows up.
I can't remember if I mentioned it on the preamble or if I mentioned it on this episode proper, but I have a hot take on that kind of relates to what you're saying. I have a hot take that might anger some Beast Wars fans or bring them great joy that they agree with.
No, you mentioned that you had it, but you didn't mention what the hot take was. Is it waiting for later in the episode, or is it now?
Well, later in the episode, I'll just talk about it now. I think this show would have been better if they hadn't bothered with any of the Beast Wars character stuff. The Beast Wars characters are the least interesting thing about this series, and they detract from the overall plot. This episode brings brings Optimus Prime and Megatron stories like full circle and brings them to a close.
But
and
then the Beast Formers are just there.
They're just there, and this story is really about Prime and Megatron and Cybertron.
Yes. And I'm fine with it leaving that and coming back.
And even in this episode, like that's the most interesting stuff is the character work going on with Optimus and Megatron.
Well, indeed, this is Kingdom, but the episode completely forgets about the Beast Formers.
It sidelines them completely.
As well
as it should, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel like even bringing the Beast Wars characters into this installment of the War for Cybertron trilogy, like it's wasted airtime. It detracts from the overall story.
As something that we've coined before. Yeah, it's muddied the waters too, because I feel like it's fans of Beast Wars aren't going to be happy with like them being tacked on to
Yeah.
the story, because they don't have their own story. They're tacked on to the story and being like, Beast Wars, but
You
like,
like Beast Wars, right?
eh?
We're gonna
Well,
give you
well,
versions of these characters that you love that you're gonna hate, and we're
we're
not
gonna
really
give
gonna
them
do
good
anything
moments, but they're just
interesting
gonna
with
be
them.
like 30 seconds here and there.
Yeah,
I And the thing is, it's not that any of it is completely unlikable, but they don't have their own story.
yeah. Like I said in
And
the
we
last
both said it.
episode,
You said it before. Kind of should have had its own 6-episode run,
it-
or
they,
nothing. It should
they-
have had its own or nothing.
they should have had their own. They should have done like, and I've said this before, but they should have done the Netflix Marvel show thing, the Defenders show. Give them their own series, and then bring them into a crossover. So it's like, have the War for Cybertron trilogy with the G1 Transformers, but also have like a new Beast Wars series.
Yeah, and have
with
it
these
like
characters.
War for Planet Energon, War for
Yeah.
Energon, whatever.
Whatever,
Have
yeah.
something that's separate, because again, I think
Rise of the Beasts.
Rise of the I think the animation studio, the voice acting, and how it looks is the best Transformers has ever been.
And this is something when I was at work the other day, this is something that I was thinking about. Because yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do think about the stuff that we
What a
podcast.
fucking nerd.
I
What
think
a
about
loser.
the podcasts and the stuff that we do, like in my day-to-day life. I was thinking about this at work the other day, and I was reflecting on the scene on the bridge of the Nemesis with Justin Primal and Galavar fighting, and like actually, like for the first time, like actually feeling like real like enemies and having like a really good back and forth.
And there's a banter, but it's only 20 seconds.
But it's only 20 seconds. And here's the thing, like we make fun of it is you, yes, Lord Megatron. Like I could have gotten used to like
Same.
that. I could have gotten used to that version of Megatron given time. Like if it, even with that voice and not like, oh, the Maximals, yes. I could
Even
have got
with that voice, but without being him
But with-
being a lapdog to
but without
OG.
being but without him being a complete sim. But just with that voice and like I could have gotten used to that.
Yeah, because we make
very
fun of
easily.
it, but it also it grows on me as we make fun of it, right?
Like if I had had an entire series of that character with that voice having like back and forths, like that scene on the bridge of the Nemesis with him
It'd be
and
fine.
Justin Primal
It'd
fighting,
be fine.
I'd be 100, I'd be on board with it 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing, I understand that they wanted to possibly bring everything full circle, and it was canceled after this, so there's nothing following, but like it was too much Transformers. It was too much time shenanigans, and it was too much crossover. It didn't need Planet Energon.
No, it didn't.
Like who's the surviving multi-headed
Easiest.
Dezius nuts. She kind of she got away, didn't she? Remember, it showed her like sulking off into the shadows.
Yeah, that was never resolved. Much like many
And they
things in
could
the
have
show.
resolved that. They could have ran into them again. And who's the one that took over the ship like a badass? Was that Mirage? Who died?
Cog.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Cog,
Cog
yeah.
single-handedly fucking
Rip in peace, Cog.
Yeah, rip in peace, Cog. And rip in peace, like, sorry if your name's Infractor number like 27B, but
Yeah, Cog wasn't even amongst the like spirit transformers that appear to like save the
thank
day.
you. I was gonna say, Cog's
Where is
not
Cog?
up there, is he?
Justice for Cog, goddammit.
Justice for Cog. There's infractors
Primus,
up there.
damn it.
Primus, dang it. What is that? Infractor number like 1, 2, and 3 is up there.
Yep.
Really, the camera only lingers on in the like you did it, Luke. We're here, like the other members. I wanted to see Dinobot up there too.
Yeah, that's weird that he wasn't there. It was just
Like, I wanted to see Cog, Dinobot, Alita, my boy Magnus.
who was there, yeah.
Yeah, and right, those two are there. Well, okay. Dinobot's not there because all the Predacons and Maximals that died joined the Allspark rather than going back to the Matrix. If you follow that,
But
listeners,
isn't
right?
but isn't this this thing that's going on in the episode though? That's at the Allspark Tower, basically. So isn't
It
that
was
the
made in
isn't
the
that-
expectation that they would return.
isn't that the Allspark projecting them? I don't know.
No, it's their actual spirit. Because before in
okay.
the tower on planet Energon, that was the Allspark projecting them. And projecting Alita. And he's like, I know you're not real, but right? Like that wasn't actually but you had said it was.
No, I think that was the version of Elita that Battle David fought or whatever or encountered outside of the Tower of
Forgotten
Allsparky.
memories.
The Tower of Babel. There we go. That was just a projection from the Allspark, but when he was actually inside the chamber, he has like a heart-to-heart conversation with Elita 1.
And she calls him Orion. Right.
Yeah, I feel like that was her actual spirit. And indeed, we find out in this episode that she is indeed dead.
And that makes sense why he saw her, because she's dead.
Yeah.
And in this case, she's on Cybertron with the others that died on Cybertron.
Yeah.
And they're able to give up their sparks.
Okay, so
jumpstart the Allspark.
So
yes?
Dinobot's not there because his spark is still like in beast mode, like traveling through space, like trying to get back to Cybertron, and he just hasn't gone.
Oh, so like
yet.
Waspinator,
much like Waspinator.
Except Waspinator's actually alive in beast mode, just flapping,
just flying.
Just flying.
Oh, there we go. That's why Waspinator isn't in War for Cybertron Kingdom, is because he has already gone to beast mode and embarked on his long journey.
You. I'm going back home. So, which also means he beat everyone else here, got to experience Beast Machine's Megatron, was already thrust. That series ended. They all died. Nuclear winter happened, and then everyone else arrived.
Yes.
Got it, folks. The timeline is the timeline's complete. So so I'm making fun. Anybody that's like listened, I like time hijinks when it's done right. And I don't know if it's done right. I don't know what Siege thinks, but there's so much shit packed into War for Cybertron Kingdom.
Time travel stuff is really fun when it's done in the vein, like the way Back to the Future does it, or like
precisely, and it has a
Star Trek
story,
does it,
and it has one story to tell.
When it becomes convoluted and you're like actually confused about like what's going on because the timeline is so muddied, that's when it becomes a problem. And indeed, it's kind of a problem here because I have no idea when the fuck I don't even know what's going on anymore, timeline wise in this show.
So Beast Machines never happened canonically.
Yep.
But
Rip in
Galavar
Rip in peace. Vision Quest, Gary.
May you and the Oracle find solace in, I don't know, like the
May you and the
green
Oracle.
goop of the fucking core.
May you and the Oracle find solace in the seeds of the future
Future.
buried in the past.
There we go. That's a good subtitle. Or for Cybertron Kingdom. May the seeds of the future stay buried in the past. That's how I feel.
Battle for planet Energon. Seeds of the future remain buried in the past.
2.
2, not the number 2. TOO.
2. Nemesis Boogaloo. And indeed, okay, so we're in the future. Okay, so my headcanon, Teletran had to jump through the dead universe to bring them, like, it's like Doctor Strange holding up his finger, being like, there's one way, like, you're not gonna like it. A lot of people are gonna be dead, but this is the one alternate timeline where we can possibly beat Unicron and save Cybertron.
Things got a little out of hand.
Exactly. And so Teletran...
I love that second Doctor Strange movie. I know it got a very mixed reception, but I really like it.
And I think they jumped into the dead universe to bring them here. Now, unfortunately, they're all aware of Galavar and Nemesis Prime, which both exist at the same time.
Yeah, so
here, like, take it away.
So Battle David and Bumblebee go and they find the Tower of Babel, and there's a big moat around it, essentially.
Big old moat. And Bumblebee, because I don't know, he's an archaeologist, is like, this is recent. And Battle David is like, Bumblebee, you idiot, this tower is like at least hundreds of years old. And he's like, no, homie, I was talking about the giant fucking canyon in the ground here.
Yeah, so the moat, like, there's only someone like you could
only
have
someone
the power
as powerful as you could have done this. And I'm like, since
like,
when?
Right? I'm like,
what about Omega Supreme with fries? What happened to the what are those guys called? The big fuckers that kind of do nothing.
The Titan class.
The Titan class.
The Guardians. Is that what they call them?
The Guardians of Cybertron or whatever. Omega Supreme.
The $200 figures, ladies and gentlemen.
Too much money.
Yep.
That
too much
for a character that's on the show for 20 seconds. I like, actually.
That's why the Ark transformed.
Yeah.
To sell a $200 toy. Come at me.
And no other reason. So Bumblebee comes up with like, only you could have done this, Prime. And I'm like, I've never seen him make a Grand Canyon. So what the fuck? Since when does his axe swings become so mighty? Like he's like a demigod? And he's creating fissures? He's parting
like he's
the water?
Fucking like he's Thor with Mjolnir and Stormbringer?
Like creating fissures in the earth? What? No.
It's weird. It's weird. It was dumb, and
he's
thought
like,
of it right away.
If I'm the only one that could have made this, then that means... And out of the mist and the snow walks out, as AC/DC plays.
I love how we had the same thought.
And the same song too. And like literally the same song. We've been doing this a long time, folks.
Back in black, I hit the sack. Yes. It's been so long, I am glad to be back indeed. Prime.
Nemesis.
And then Jill Valentine is like, "Oh shit!" with the rocket launcher.
Fucking Jill Valentine is there.
Stars.
Stars.
Every time they kept saying Nemesis, that's all I was thinking of was fucking Resident Evil 3.
Resident Evil's made such a weird comeback too. Resident Evil has another chapter in one of the games I play, Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
Capcom's
really
not comeback. It never really went away.
It didn't go away. I
say this as
like
a Resident Evil
there
fan.
More. It feels like it's out there more, and it's succeeding more. I think it all started with
Resident
when they started
Evil 7.
remaking
Resident Evil 7.
Oh, 7.
That one, when they changed it up to like first person and went kind of back to basics with like traditional, like very like PT inspired horror and horror like inspired by like the original game.
Good point. And not only that very PT inspired, like because people got like cock blocked on PT.
Yeah.
Us, for example. Fuck, we played PT in like
2018.
Yeah. That coming out and so different. Like people didn't even like, this doesn't feel like Resident Evil. Like,
well, and
Jesus at all.
In a weird way, like it kind of felt like a modernization of the original game. Like it was capturing the spirit of the original game, but doing it in a modern
What
way.
I would love is that 7 feeling of isolation. You don't have a weapon. There are other people walking around or monsters or whatever. That very dark kind of survival horror rather than survival shooter.
Yeah.
Remake of Resident Evil 1 in the mansion.
Yeah,
but instead of being STARS members with fucking huge biceps, not afraid of anything, like
punching
maybe
boulders.
Mash the B button to punch boulder. Punching boulders out of the way, kind of like a
press X
a
to
retelling.
No,
Press X to Wesker. Yeah.
That would be fantastic. I would be 100%
absolutely done like that. And it captured like almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre with like the family and like fucking right on, like that feeling of being like captive and hiding and shit, right? While still having puzzles and being a Resident Evil game.
Yep.
Yeah. If they did
still
that
collecting herbs,
still smoking them herbs to fight the infection, much like I do every day. No. I take my herbs in oil format. I take my herbs in not as a spray, as a in your head, how did you picture the first aid spray? Like kind of you apply directly to forehead. Head on.
Spray just spraying like a wound on your arm or something. Because they would always, like when you were really injured, they would always be like holding their shoulder and would always have their like left like arm like hunched like down and dead.
And everything was a little bit slower and to pick up your arm. Yeah. So you figure they just kind of
just spray it on like the left side of their body, and
like
all of a sudden they're like
spray and
all of a sudden it's like and
I imagine it too. It has the lifespan of an actual like deodorant can, so it actually takes like 4 minutes, and it just smell like antiseptic. Oh man, I don't even know how that came up. Anyways, Resident Evil, cool.
Yeah,
they did it, folks. And War for Cybertron Kingdom.
Oh, on the subject of Resident Evil, there's a remake of Resident Evil 4 coming out in April.
Because they're going through all the main games.
But they skipped Code Veronica.
I knew they would.
Which I'm really mad about, because Code Veronica is the storyline-wise, like canonically, it's the real Resident Evil 3. The game that's actually called Resident Evil 3 was only called as such because of a licensing deal with Sony at the time.
Where is my sexy queen that's actually a man? Yes, I wanted Code Veronica. God damn it! That's a joke for like 1 in 1,000 like
my
people because
my
nobody played that.
my sexy blonde cross dresser femboy baddie.
Femboy, baddie, naked, G virus, T virus, E
Uh,
virus.
no, in that game it was it was the it was the T Veronica virus. It was like
T.
it was its own strain.
I knew it was like a T virus, but just like much like the G virus, it's its own strain in its own lab that
and does its own things. Yeah,
does its own things. Yeah,
that game is really good. Like,
I like it better than 3.
Also, that villain is my fetish.
when people were like, "Who's your favorite like masculine, feminine?" It's just like the villain, hero, the baddie and antagonist. Yeah. In Code Veronica, followed by Liquid Snake, followed by War for Cybertron Kingdoms.
Snake, did you like my sunglasses? Liquid.
Well,
You're not Master Miller.
No.
Snake, Master Miller's body was found dead in his apartment 3 days ago. Then who have I been talking to? Me, dear brother.
Liquid.
Oh man, I love how in this episode so far we're kind of just referencing like fucking everything in the Lasercomb canon at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Somehow, I don't know how it happens. We don't even purposely do it. I know nobody believes us, but
no, it's just it's fitting.
Yeah, it's fitting. But like, so Nemesis is here, and I'm pretty sure Nemesis and Galvatron are from like completely different canonized, are completely different storylines of fiction.
They are. Galvatron as even like a casual like Transformers fan, or casual like G1 Transformers fan, I would say, who has seen Transformers the movie, knows that Galvatron was Megatron who was mortally wounded fighting Optimus Prime,
made a deal with the devil,
and was reformatted. He didn't even really make a deal. Unicron didn't really give him a choice.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you and eat you now, unless you submit." And he's like,
"I accept your terms.
I guess." And he's like, "Excellent."
Also, I hate the voice of Unicron in this show. It's well, just compared to Orson Welles in Transformers the movie, and no one can compare to Orson Welles, but like this is like not even any kind of attempt at like trying to match the gravitas of Orson Welles. Anyway, Unicron in Transformers the movie reformats Megatron into Galvatron.
Yep.
Whereas Nemesis Prime, that concept was born out of the 2001 cartoon Transformers Robots in Disguise, which is kind of a really bizarre anomaly that I'm not even going to get into at this point. But he was a like black redeco of the Transformers Generation 2 toy Laser Optimus Prime.
Right, yeah.
And he was called Scourge. And then at some point in the future, or some point like later on, not in the future, but some point later on, sometime in the 2000s, I think in like comics or something, they renamed Scourge Nemesis Prime. So they're two
because we needed to confuse and overlap names even more.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this on the show, but it's kind of like you have the ship called Nemesis.
Yep.
And now you have Scourge, which is named Nemesis Prime. But now, since both are on the show War for Cybertron, you have the ship called Nemesis, and you have Scourge, Nemesis Prime, and they're best buds in this timeline that, and I'm okay with timey shenanigans. For example, a lot of what the show's been more than subtly trying to tell you is Galvatron found a way into the dead universe to try to alter the past to change his predicament.
Yeah.
So somehow he found the timeline where Nemesis Prime existed, and they became best buds.
Somehow, it would have been great if the show had even bothered to try and explain any of that, though.
Because, good Optimus Prime and broken OG Megatron can't even see eye to eye. Both of the most evil versions of both of them are definitely going to hang out together and grab a beer. But I guess they're unified in their hatred of Unicron, which is also questionable because
Have you reached the refrigerator yet, Cal?
No. Like I haven't even needed to. I'm like, oh man, I need to go to the I need to go and make lunch. And then I'm just like, oh wait, here it is. I don't even need to go. Wait a second. And it's like, did Scourge ever meet Unicron?
No.
And I'm not going to go and read the comics. I just went on the wiki. I don't think so. The wiki didn't say he interacted with them.
Nope.
Did he? Have you read those?
No.
Oh.
Not going to either.
Yeah.
No, Scourge was just like an evil clone of Optimus Prime.
And I guess him and Galavar are hanging out on climate change Cybertron, just waiting.
Yeah, apparently, like this was all orchestrated by them. Like they were just waiting for the Maximals and Predacons and Autobots and Decepticons to show
and they're
up.
not working for Unicron. They want to destroy Unicron by taking the Allspark back to their timeline.
And Galvatron,
I'm not making this up, by the way. They say this word for word. They want to take it back to their timeline to defeat Unicron.
Which they need
Cybertron
the
be damned.
Yeah, Cybertron be damned. And this is something that I actually found really interesting about this episode is Galvatron lets Megatron out of the Ark's stasis chamber, and he's like,
yeah, he's like, substantial. Like, corporeal. He's real.
Yeah,
which surprised me. I thought he was another Vision Quest, but he's just like, hey, buddy,
he's like,
you're free to go.
Come on, we need to defeat Unicron. And Megatron's like, but how? And Galavar's like, we need to use the Allspark to defeat him. And Megatron is like, but wait, we need the Allspark to restore Cybertron. And Galvatron is like, Cybertron be damned. We need to kill Unicron because I don't want to be
I don't want to be a slave. And that means you don't want to be a fucking slave either.
And
Megatron's at this point, as they're leaving the Ark, they're like, you could tell Megatron's like, it's a hard pill to swallow.
It is, and eventually Megatron makes the choice. He's like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm doing this for Cybertron.
I like this. All Avengers getting ready to fight them.
I liked this a lot. Megatron is like, no, I'm doing this for Cybertron, and
it's always been for Cybertron.
It's always
so
been
he
for
says
Cybertron.
Now. Yeah.
So he says now, and this is
that was hype.
This is really good character work.
That was hype. And again, we'd get more of it if there was less monkey business in War for Cybertron Kingdom.
Yeah, this
right? Like this is what I wanted.
This is the kind of stuff I wanted as well. So Megatron decides to turn on Galvatron and Nemesis Prime and is like,
as everyone is doing this big conflict, like Starscream out of everyone is the one giving this like motivational speech to Megatron.
Yeah.
He's like, no, like I've seen like the monster that like is to come. Factions aside, we need to put all that aside and join our enemies for survival.
And so there's this big moment that I mentioned earlier, but like there's this big, they try to have this big like Avengers Endgame moment, but it's like it's kind of underwhelming. It's cool, but it's kind of
cool
underwhelming.
though. Yeah, like
So we
the
have
cats
like
try to pounce on like Galvatron, and Galvatron's
we
gonna
have this
blast.
we have this moment where like Starscream and like Black Arachnia and like the Maximals and Predacons and Galavar is there standing in the background, and like
Oh yeah, he had nothing to say.
The music is like do 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 do, and Starscream is like Transformers, transform.
Transformers, fly and roll out, or flap out, or whatever it is you do. And then Pterosaur pops up, and he's like, "And I'm here too." It would have been really cool if they showed,
Time to go kick Megatron's ass.
and then you just hear and you see Juiced. You see Juiced Pterosaur, and he's like, "Finally, 2 Megatrons to kick ass." And Back in Black picks up its like second chord, but harder.
As
We're making this better than it actually is.
As we often do, we're making this more hype than it actually is.
Juiced Pterosaur isn't there. You know what would have been cool? If the guys we didn't get on the show made an appearance in that like golden like Jedis surrounding like the Babel, the
Right.
Tower of Babel. It would have been cool to see like Terrace. I understand it would be making another model and more
Pterosaur,
money.
Scorponok, depth charge, like
No, we
quick
don't
strike,
No, no. Maybe not them.
Silverbolt.
Silver. He was weird. He was a turkey vulture in Beast Machines.
Yeah.
Like, weird choice. People aren't like, you know what people think of when it comes to like the opposite of noble paladin? Turkey vulture. He's fallen far from grace.
I mean,
Is that gonna sell?
He was a fucking ugly bird.
Yeah, it was fucking ugly bird. Even Black Arachnia was like, ugh. I can get used to this, Cheetor looking pretty fine lately.
Maybe you should hit the gym there, honey.
And maybe put this bag over here. There we go. Tell you what, I'll stay in spider form if you stay in
robot. I liked his
form.
robot form in that show. It was his beast mode that was ungodly looking.
Both were off for me, but they're not here. Mercifully, they are. They've
been spared.
Here. Yeah. And what ends up happening, I guess, is that their combined might cannot beat Nemesis Prime and Galvatron. And there's a little scene before that where like Nemesis Prime is like beating the shit out of Optimus, and he's like, "Where is she? Where's Rachel?" And like, do you like kicking him around in the snow? Like, "You can't lie to me. I'm like you, but evil." And he's like, "I don't have it, Dad. I'm not your dad." And indeed, he doesn't have it. Bumblebee's like,
And why are you paying child support, Nemesis?
Shut up. We've gotten pretty good at doing certain caricatures of them. I think we're pretty good at some of the characters. And Bumblebee's all like, "Open, damn you, open!" And I'm like, "This again?"
Just like beating their fist on the
spire,
on the side of a wall.
This again? And he's like, "Please, aren't I worthy?" And then after a few scenes of like that, there's like a laser that like lets him in. And I'm like, they used that trope twice now. Like,
Yeah.
why not a bunch of traps or something?
So he takes the Allspark. He does get in, and he takes the Allspark into the center of the Tower of Babel, and he puts it on this like console that it's, I guess, meant to rest on, and the D12 like
An
breaks
altar
apart.
of some kind, yeah.
The D12 breaks apart, and there's this like sphere in the middle of it, and it kind of just like plops down.
Clunk, and it turns
Clunk.
into a dull gray, like spherical piece of metal.
And
With
he's
no
like, "Oh shit!"
energon.
With no Energon. He's like, "Oh shit! I'm too late. Oh no!
Damn
what am I gonna do
you!"
now?"
And he falls on the ground. Damn you all to hell!
They blew it up, the maniacs.
They kind of did. And while on the outside, Galvatron and Nemesis are like doing a slow motion jump over the canyon with all the Predacons and Maximals and Autobots and Decepticons like trying to shoot at them. And they all have Stormtrooper accuracy in the snow, apparently. And they're jumping over to go and try to stop the Allspark. And to get it for themselves. And that's when like Golden and that's when Golden Scorponok appears. Not on my watch.
Megatron has rewarded me.
In death. I lived in death as I did in life. And go, my babies. And he releases a swarm of cyber bees. Again, we're rewriting a better episode here. No, Alita and like Magnus, Ultra Magnus, like put out their hands and make like a gold barrier that stargates them, that warps them away. Right? Yes? And I'm like, oh, so okay, if you introduce a new plot element to resolve a conflict and then don't answer, what this show's so bad for that lately. Right? Like, why are here? You've been waiting for. So there's a golden Alita one. By the way, anybody listening that like missed it, Siege has
Pleasant surprise.
Siege has one of those like easy buttons,
Yeah.
but it actually has David K's
He sells them on his personal website.
yeah, and
Where
it's
is my
signed.
rubber ducky?
That one in particular is, I feel like that's a fan. That's him being a fan of his own character.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
Because
and
I
it's all
don't think
stuff-
that's an actual line.
No, it's stuff he's re-recorded. Like it's
Yeah.
all new recordings.
Yeah. And he hand signs them all. Yeah. Cool. And well, that's
It's
a good
episode
way to-
100 of Too Much Energon, folks. I'm bringing in everything I can from the history of TME.
Yeah, and then big convoy shows up. Ain't nothing on earth that can stop a convoy. And
You still haven't opened that yet, have you?
no, I have not. Should
I'm
I?
just saying, if you were gonna do it, this would be a good time.
And the question is, do I leave big convoy in?
I'm so jelly of that figure.
You are jelly of it. Would you have opened it?
Ooh. For episode 100 of TME, maybe.
I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I want it to retain its box value and blah blah blah. But
I mean,
Bit
I do have
ugly.
old Beast Wars figures hanging on my wall that I could open for the show.
that is true. Maybe maybe we'll have a special segment when we're done going through a rip here. So, anyways, what was I bitching about? Talk about Beast Wars shit. Talk shit about Beast Wars. Oh right, teleported. The ghosts of Cybertron teleport Galavar and Nemesis Prime away.
Oh, Galvatron, not Galavar.
Galvatron away. That's
One of
convenient.
them is a slave of Unicron, and another one of them lives in a dumpster. Yes.
Until the day I can steal the gold disc. Geez, I don't. So they're gone, I guess. Now I have a problem with that. One, it introduces that like ghosts.
I thought they just Elite, the ghost of Elita 1 just disintegrated them.
No, because they show
Oh,
up
right,
later.
they show up again at the end of the episode. But Unicron is like, once again, I have saved your lives. Or something like that. Once again.
Yeah, I guess they were disintegrated.
And he goes to like reformat them as the episode ends, and we never get any resolution to this because
Well, that's
Netflix...
kind of cool. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the ghosts of Cybertron, like Elita 1, just killing Nemesis and Galvatron, because it robs the Avengers of any glory or vengeance.
Well, it's a Deus Ex Machina.
Satisfaction.
We have
That's
these
exactly what it is.
Yeah, we have these like Omega level threats that our heroes can't deal with. So all of a sudden, the ghosts of Cybertron's past show up and literally wave their hand. She literally waves her hand to like fade them out of existence.
10 seconds. You have a better way to resolve them losing. Boom, here's mine. Only Megatron and Prime are left standing, and they team up. And by them teaming up, they're able to beat both of them. Kind of like how Cap teams up with when they're beating Iron Man, beating the shit out of Iron Man. Cap and what is that? When they beat the shit out of Tony Stark, it's like Captain America and Bucky or something. They like double team him, and they're only able to like...
In Avengers Endgame, I actually really liked this too. The fight with Thanos, there's an extended like battle where it's Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, the original like 3 heroes of the MCU, like just fighting Thanos. I thought that was a really neat moment. So here's my pitch.
All right.
Prime gets like knocked down, and like the Matrix falls out of his chest, and he falls on the ground. The Matrix falls out of his chest, and he goes to grab it. Him and Megatron like both grab it at the same time, and like they start glowing, and you hear, "You got the touch, you got the power," and they, with their powers combined, they are able to... It takes both of them to actually like utilize the power of the Matrix to...
And that was always meant to be.
To destroy their future evil selves and change their destinies.
It was never meant for one. It was always meant for both of them the whole time.
And because they're kind of 2 sides of the same coin, this is like really like bringing that full circle, being like they are intrinsically linked, and only together...
Cybertron needs them. Yeah.
Cybertron needs both of them, and only them working together can they resolve the planet's problem. See, I feel like right there, I just wrote a better ending to the show.
After all is said and done. And it got like a cut montage of like them teaming up, and the axe getting knocked out of like
you never
Optimus's hand.
You never run, you're a winner.
Da, da. But then like Megatron catches the axe and he's like, Prime, and he throws it back to him just in time as he's jumping up and smacking him. That'd be great.
And they're both like glowing, and like their color schemes are changing.
Yes.
And like Megatron, like they're both like alternating each other's like color schemes in their forms.
Yeah, and you see Prime or Galvatron be like, no, like running and trying to intervene.
Yeah.
And they're stronger all of a sudden, and they like chop Galvatron's arm.
Galvatron like straight up like point blank like shoots like a cannon blast at Prime, and it just like bounces off of him.
Or like there's smoke and then it like clears and you just see his face and he's like unfazed. See, we're getting hyped over like rewriting this episode.
We're getting hyped over this like fake ending that is not the actual ending of the War for Cybertron trilogy.
Okay, so like snap back to reality.
That would what I just came up with. That would actually like legit have been a great moment for this show.
It almost feels like that's how it had to have been.
Yeah.
Like if there was like a place your bets before this was released, or if we had only watched like 5, I would have been like, yeah, it's gonna end with them unifying.
Yeah.
Nope. The resolution is the Allspark kick Cybertron back into gear. It's like the end of Total Recall, and the atmosphere returns so quickly that Arnold Schwarzenegger and that other lady are able to like breathe again. The skies turn blue.
Megatron's eyes are like popping out of his skull.
And they start to like recede, and their neck veins like start to like calm down as like they start to breathe again.
Yeah.
And it's a little, there's a weird reference.
Total Recall.
And then Alita, the ghost of Alita's One's like, I've always loved you. Fuck, that's so corny. We didn't need that. I've always loved you, Orion. And he's like, no, stay, let me bang your ghost. And then there's kind of a time jump of some sort.
And Rhinox shows up and is like, well, David, as long as she's corporeal, you're good to go, my man. Yeah.
As long as
Smacks his
she's
ass.
corporeal. I mean, I saw her body back there and preserved in the ice. Just nothing, a lube job and 30 seconds in the microwave won't help.
We did it with Black Arachnia back in the day, and you can do it again today.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Black Arachnia was like brought back from the dead. Sort of. I don't know. Yeah.
It was forever ago, people.
Yeah, forever ago.
I did a whole bunch of editing of like old episode shit recently, so a lot of things are very fresh in my mind.
And I don't know, a floating orb of some kind, an artifact that never gets explained.
Yeah, the transmetal driver. Cheers.
The one that depth charge was going to be like, toss into the lava.
Yep. Yeah, what's this? Must be broken. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, fuck it. Can't be good, right? Priceless artifact.
Someone called the 5-0.
And it ends with the ghost of Christmas past saying goodbye. And suddenly, all of the surviving Autobots, Decepticons, Maximals, and Predacons, which I guess everyone's living here now. There's a giant, like 200-foot tall, like metal monument of who is it? It's like,
I'm pretty sure one of them was Refractor.
first I thought, who's the monument of at the end?
It's like it's two Transformers standing back to back.
It's Magnus, and
it's like Magnus and Refractor, right?
Yes. Because the tall one's definitely Magnus, because he's got the treads on the side.
Yeah, and I think the other one is Refractor, which I'm like, that is really fucking low effort, guys.
Yeah, and I'm like, really? The meme we've been saying of like the 100 refractors. You know what would have been hilarious? If it was just a random Seeker and Refractor. A fitting tribute. I imagine most of the people there would be like, who's this other guy? And Optimus turns and he's like, I don't know. Impactor? Some
Compactor?
Compactor?
Bombaster?
Bombastic? School bus? I don't know. And it is. I think that's what it is. Guys, come on. Why not like Dinobot and Ultra Magnus?
Yeah. Actually, like two characters who like
Gave their life for something better,
something greater,
greater
than
than them.
themselves. Yeah. Again, we're writing a better episode than,
But yeah, sure, Refractor, who died off screen, I guess. Yeah, cool story. Not Alita 1,
yeah,
who chose to stay behind
right.
and fight for Cybertron's people. Not who was the guy that ran the clinic? Red
Ratchet?
Alert. Ratchet. Not Ratchet. Like, but yeah, I guess Refractor. Cool story, bro. Weird. Yeah, why not Dinobot? Anyways, Optimus is like, well, we've got a lot of prep time and a lot of work to do until the planet's up and running and we get those turned off sectors backing up and we get to fucking and repopulating. So put her there, old friend. And Megatron goes to shake his hand and he's like, oh, psych. Shake your hand. I think not, Prime. You conspire with filthy organics. And he's like, well, the planet is big enough for both sides.
The planet has Energon.
Yes.
Too much Energon.
For now.
Create alternatives based on the most powerful local creatures.
Yes. That was in the you put that in that medley, that mesh, and I was like, fuck, it's worse than I remember. But
also better than Galavar in this show.
Shout out to you, random unlisted voice actor.
Guy who was probably just on the dev team. I'm not even joking. Like, it was probably just a dude who was like one of the coders or something. Who
We
was
were all
like
doing impressions, and he had the best one.
Yes, the planet has Energon.
Too much Energon. So it ends with Starscream turning to Black Arachnia because I guess they're best friends now?
Even though she threw him in a stasis jail at the beginning of the episode.
And they've both turned on each other like multiple times. But they're both going with the Predacons and the Decepticons. And I'm like,
why are the teams divided again all of a sudden, arbitrarily? Because they bad. And
they
good.
bad, these good. But also, Black Arachnia canonically joined the Maximals, and Starscream and Black Arachnia were the first ones to join the Autobots in this canon, in this timeline. So what, they just decided to go back?
Yep.
Like they were traitors, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they? Well, you see, Starscream, as is with every other timeline, I believe in forgetting and forgiving. Like, man, this guy's got like 10 lives with, like, he's got like 9 lives with Megatron. But Galvatron has no patience for Starscream. Seriously, why is he on this side? Weird. But anyways, they're walking together, like holding hands, but like in a platonic way, right? Like siblings.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
And he's like, you know, I still hear him, Unicron. Even though the golden disc is destroyed, I know what he's thinking. And she's like, so? He's out there, planning, waiting, angry fapping.
So very, very off topic, but remember when we did that preamble where we were talking about that weird guy on Facebook and his like headcanon like toy Jeremy, but also talking about the adoring fan, and I made the art for that preamble, like several copies of the adoring
Didn't you
fan.
actually boot up
I did. I booted up Oblivion
and then go into like
and
the
used the
console?
console to make like several adoring fans. I took a screenshot of it. That's the screenshot that just popped up on my desk because my Windows desktop is like my screenshots folder that just changes like every 10 minutes, I think. So
And
that's
that just popped up.
that screenshot just popped up.
whatever you say. You're the grand champion.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
But,
Anyway,
that's how it ends. Oh no, it ends with one more little scene.
yeah. Unicron is all like, "Again, I have brought you back to life, Galvatron and Scourge."
I made you. I can reshape you. And I'm like, did you make
And so
Scourge?
he's right. And
I
so he
guess he
starts
did in this
to
timeline.
reformat them.
And the same thing from the Transformers the movie
yeah.
happens where they kind of go vectored.
Yep. Yeah, it's a cool visual. A
But
nice throwback.
his mouth closes over them before we see how he's like reformatting them.
Yep.
And then what does he say? He said, I don't know. Unicron says some Unicron bullshit. Oh, right. He's like, but even though you were treacherous.
And this shall be
I just
your
sneezed.
ship.
Sorry. He's and he's like,
Now go.
but despite how treacherous you were,
Destroy the Autobot matrix.
you transgressing into the
dead universe.
I keep sneezing, sorry folks. The dead universe has given me ideas.
Right.
I shall be king again.
King of what?
And I'm like,
King of the castle. King of the castle.
king of the castle, king of the castle. Do this, do that. I have a chair. And I was like, Unicron's never called himself king. That's
That's Grimlock.
Me Grimlock, not Bozo. Me Grimlock King.
that is Grimlock, yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's very small thinking for Unicron.
Yeah.
Like emperor. That'd be like calling him president. He's destroyer of worlds and like ruler of galaxies. He's not king. If he had said God,
yeah.
whatever, okay.
Yeah. I don't even know. But that's
that.
That's the end of the episode, and indeed the end of the War for Cybertron trilogy. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
We did it.
We
Let
did
it be known. 100 episodes. And we didn't do anything bombastically special just yet for the 100th episode, but what we did do was we finished our what's it called?
I'm calling this
wish list.
I'm calling this phase 3 of Too Much Energon.
Phase 3, there we go. We finished phase 3. But we still have to review the final episode of Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom.
Yep.
Episode 6. And here on Too Much Energon, we've got ye old 3-tier rating system. Trez. And numero, it's a 3-tier rating system. It's not enough Energon, a sufficient amount of Energon, and too much Energon. It's basically bad, okay, good. Siege, what do you give the finale of War for Cybertron Kingdom? Yes. Out of 7.
No, I'm giving it a sufficient amount of Energon. It's like I was saying earlier in the episode, the War for Cybertron trilogy would have been better served if we had just remained focused on the Autobots and Decepticon, on specifically Optimus and Prime and Bumblebee and Elita 1. Like, remain focused on them.
I would have liked to see more stuff happening on Cybertron with Alita, Shockwave, like resolve that without just killing them all.
The introducing the Beast Wars characters like just detracted from that story, and it didn't, because their story wasn't really very well developed. Like, it
either feels rushed or skipped.
Yeah,
both of which kind of do a disservice to even having them there. And I think it would have been interesting if there was an homage to them rather than having them actually on the show.
Or a tease, like, you know.
Or a tease, right? Like, let Dinobot's eye like kind of spy them from the distance and kind of leave it at that.
And kind of leave it at that, and maybe tease that, oh, like this, there's going to be a spin-off of this in the future. Like, that would have been really cool. But it's getting a sufficient amount of Energon, because otherwise, like, I think the episode is fine. I'm not terribly offended by it.
I'm not terribly offended by it either.
And I really liked the speech between Optimus and Bumblebee. The scene where Optimus finds Elita 1's body like really got me. And I liked Megatron like standing up and being like, no, I'm doing this for Cybertron, like, fuck you, like literally like telling his future self to go fuck himself.
And he said, and if it comes to me choosing my death over slavery and I choose slavery, then it will be my choice again.
Yeah, so gets a sufficient amount of Energon.
Yeah. Just same Z's from me, mirroring that. There was really cool stuff, but then we were like robbed of other stuff.
Yeah.
We spent 15 minutes going over alternative scene that never happened.
Better versions of this finale.
And they made it needlessly complex in ways I don't understand why they needed to. Like, I actually don't think Nemesis Prime needed to be on it. Galavar was better as just a dream quest, coming and interacting with Orion.
Galvatron.
Galvatron. Was better as a vision quest when they were in the dead universe.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Starscream hearing like whispers of like, eldritch horror that is Unicron. But like, don't show them as much. Don't make them such a big, solid part. And it got away from what it started as. Right? Like,
yeah,
introducing all these new characters and new motivations even. Like, Galvatron and Nemesis didn't need to be characters.
No, they could have just been.
They don't
like
need a big bad
threats.
guy to fight. And then when they did make them the big bad to fight, they don't let them fight them.
Yeah.
They just go, shit, how long do we have? 8 minutes. Fuck it. They're Ghost Elita kills them. Yeah, sure. And I'm like, why were they here? So it's like they didn't even know what to do. And that's what I noticed. The second half of Kingdom started unraveling. The last 3 episodes, you've probably heard me say, did they watch the last episode? Did they watch that last episode? Did they watch any of Kingdom? And it unraveled pretty fast. They spent a long time like getting lost in the woods and not enough time. There you go. That's a good analogy. Yeah, they spent a lot of the time getting lost in the woods, and not enough time developing Megatron holding up Ultra Magnus's head and being like, alas, poor Ultra Magnus.
Alas, poor
Magnus.
Alas, poor Magnus. I knew him, Soundwave.
Alas, poor Magnus. I knew him, Soundwave.
Yeah, you do a much better Megatron than I do.
Megatron, stop playing with your dead friend and come to the bridge.
Soundwave, leave the room.
And leave the lotion.
Speaking of come, leave the room. I have this head right
But
here.
Megatron, I said leave.
I like to watch.
Well, I don't. And meanwhile, in the corner, you just see like Shockwave's like invisibility, like flicker, and you hear. And on that note, folks, that's been episode 100 of the Raptorbot Chronicles. Of Chips Ahoy, the reboot Chipcast.
Again, if you're wondering what that's in reference to, go to patreon.com/lasercomb and subscribe for $5 a month, and you'll get preamble audio of me and Cal talking about like random shit. Before we wrap the episode up, though, this is episode 100 of Too Much Energon. This is a big deal. It's a big deal to me.
We've lasted 99 episodes long. 97 episodes longer than the average indie podcast.
Yeah, I've said it before, but the statistically, the average indie podcast lasts about 3 episodes before it just disappears because people figure out that one,
more work
takes time, takes work, takes effort, takes money. It's not free to do podcasts, folks.
You mean the second that we're done recording, it doesn't just magically edit itself and appear on multiple streaming services? It doesn't just whisk away?
No, and indeed, after actually, you know what? I'm gonna go into the process because I don't think I've ever actually like really gone into it before. And this is episode 100, so this feels like a good time to do it.
You get to peek behind the curtain, folks.
So how we do the shows is, and this isn't how we've always done it, but this is how we've been doing it for quite some time now. We launch a Zoom call. We have a weekly Zoom meeting that we have for this or the Lasercomb podcast, our other like currently like active podcast that we do weekly-ish.
That's expense number one.
Yes.
Shit ain't free.
Yes, Zoom costs with taxes nearly $25 a month. Costs me that. So we launch a Zoom call. Me and Cal usually like chat for a while. Sometimes it's like 10 minutes, sometimes it's nearly an hour like it was today. It's good for the two of us to just like catch up and like talk about things that are off topic. It's also really good too because it for me, at least for me anyway, it like gets my throat going, gets my voice going, gets me in the mode of like talking regularly.
Making jokes about things. And
making
make a
jokes
point
about
of
things.
not talking about the subject of the episode.
Yeah.
Because inevitably our best jokes will be in the preamble of it, and we're like, no, we must save it.
We got to save it. So the preamble I decided very early on was just going to be a bonus for Patreon subscribers, and a lot of people seem to enjoy those. And
sometimes there's like a cold open cut from the preamble.
Yeah. So after we're done recording, it usually takes Zoom about a half hour or so to render the video and audio versions of the recording. And from there, I go into the video editing program that I use, which is Shotcut, and I load the recording into Shotcut. I also grab the intro video and like whatever song or the outro bit or like whatever song I'm going to put at the end or, you know, whatever. And then what I literally do is I spend however long the amount of time that we recorded. Sometimes it's only an hour. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 hours. I quite literally listen to the entire thing as I'm editing, I watch and listen to the entire thing as I'm editing to cut things like, dead air, or if there's like glitches in the audio, to like try and fix those, try and like remove those as best as I can.
Balancing like
Balancing audio,
hum or volume difference or
balancing like audio levels, sometimes like just like little things. But so that process varies depending on how long the episode is itself.
it's inevitably longer than the recording.
It's
Because
inevitably
he's
long
stopping and
because I have to stop and like cut things out, or like sometimes I have to, in the case of the Lasercomb podcast, I'll add in lately I've been adding in like the intro for whatever show we're talking about that week. So, and that,
there's like a title card after our intro.
yeah. So, and it's fun. Like I like doing it. But the point is, it's time consuming. So after we're done recording, I'm still sitting in front of the computer for literally several hours. And then in Shotcut, once I'm done and I'm satisfied with what I've made, I begin actually rendering this edited version of the video, and that, depending on the that also varies depending on the length of the video. Sometimes that's only like 20 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours. While that's going on, I will find a screenshot from whatever we're talking about that week, usually something that I find funny or cool, and I'll like just a still image from that episode, and
because you can't screenshot a lot of the streaming services, that means you have to privately screenshot this.
Yeah. Because you can't screenshot something on Netflix, I have to resort to other methods to acquire the episode of what we're talking about so I can make a screenshot. And then I load that into Photoshop. And I add like the Too Much Energon text on the top, the episode number, and then like what we're talking about at the bottom. But it's always a widescreen image, so I can use it for YouTube. So it'll be like 16 by 9, but I also have to check what a 4 by 3, what it would look like in a 4 by 3 box, so I can use that same art for our podcasting host, Transistor.
And the thumbnail.
And so I have to actually like painstakingly make sure that the text is like, it'll still be a 16 by 9 image, but I have to make sure that the text will fit perfectly into this 4 by 3 box.
Right, because it just clips the thumbnail and it makes its own thumbnail out of the...
Yeah. So that's, I've become like quite skilled at doing that now. So that used to take me like upwards of like an hour to do properly. Now I can do it in like 10 or 15 minutes.
Hear that, Rooster Teeth? If you're hiring, needing editors.
And so once the video version of the podcast has been rendered by Shotcut, I will immediately, because YouTube takes its own time to do things, I'll immediately go to YouTube and start uploading the video. Because that'll take time. The upload, because of my ISP, my upload speed with my internet service provider, the upload process is actually quite quick, but YouTube takes quite a while to process something.
In general, yeah, I've noticed that.
So I'll immediately go to YouTube and start uploading the video. And then what I'll do is I'll bring up Audacity and bring the video file, the like MP4 file, into Audacity and adjust the leveling. I'll turn the volume up. And then I'll export that as an MP3. And then I'll go to the website for my podcast provider that I use, which is Transistor. And I will go to the like add new episode. And that MP3 that I've just exported, I will upload to there. I'll add the show art. And then I'll start, I'll add the title of the episode, which I'll just copy and paste from the Transistor website to the YouTube version, and I'll copy and paste like the whole like social media links and everything like that from previous episodes into the current episode that I'm uploading. And then I will come up with a like fun and stupid way to describe the episode that we've just talked about. Like Optimus Lion and Gary Primal team up to form the hypest WWF tag team ever to fight Ultima Weapon from Final Fantasy VII. Like, I'll come up with
that
like
was
this.
for our Japanese Beast Wars review.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. I think that was episode 47 of Too Much Energon, maybe. So I'll come up with like a really like dumb and funny description of an episode like that, and then type all that up, and add social media links. There's like little things like I have to check, like, does this contain explicit content? Yes, it does. It always does. We say a lot of dirty words on this on these shows. And I always in the description put the for both the audio and the video versions, I put links in the descriptions for both. So for the audio version, I'm like link to the video version, and for the version on YouTube, the video version, I'll put a link to the audio version. So I have to wait for both of those sites to finish doing their thing, so I can just copy and paste links. And then when I publish them, I post them to the links to our Discord, which there's always a link to if you want to join. There's a link to in the description of any episode.
It takes the work out of having to siphon through some of the streaming.
Yeah. I also go to while this is going on, I also go to Patreon and upload links to, and copy and paste and upload links to all of this to Patreon as well, to be like, hey, we got a new episode of a thing. So all told, even with all told, like each afternoon that we record for like between 1 and 3 hours usually, and we're usually done by anywhere between like 3 and 4 p.m. I'm usually still doing stuff until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And then things are out there in the world, and I'm like, yay, I'm happy. Sweet.
Yeah, and so you use that, which is way different. Like, I don't know if other people will, how much other people give peeks behind the curtain, but a lot of the podcasts I listen to come out days or weeks.
Peek behind the curtain.
Oh,
There's my bedroom, ladies and gentlemen, behind me.
much improved.
Much improved living space compared to where I was before.
No longer living in the Predacon base. Yes. I'll notice a lot of other podcasts. Yes, that one was fitting. But it'll be like days, weeks before they're like kind of aired.
Yep.
And so they avoid things that are topical in a lot of the time in those podcasts, unless it's a topical podcast, in which case it's usually days because they go right at it. So
right.
Just saying to listeners, just so you know, it coming out like the day of like recording is extremely
rare,
uncommon.
Yeah. Even podcasts I listen to, like, and I know this because I've guest hosted on a couple of podcasts that I've been listening to for years now, which is it's not really, I don't even
There's
like,
nothing wrong with it.
no, it's not even, it's not a brag or anything. It's just like, it's a thing that for me is like a really cool thing that I did, that like 2 of my favorite podcasts that I've been listening to for years, I've actually like guest hosted on. I'm like, that's really rad. But both times, like the episode went live like days after I recorded with them.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, like generally, like I try most of the time, like something goes live like within a few hours after we're done recording.
Yeah, if you listen to us like regularly, depending on like how busy your like weekends are or what our schedules are or whatever, you probably hear us on the day we say we're recording. So when we're like, hey, it's Halloween, then it's probably actually Halloween, and so on and so forth. Except for special episodes when you've done interviews and you put together like a Christmas special, and it's just like, oh boy, we've been sitting on this Ian Weir interview,
Yeah.
and there's something special like going on there.
Speaking of something special, we got another interview lined up.
Oh,
That's happening real soon. This week, there's actually going to be 2 episodes of Too Much Energon, folks.
That's right. Man, this is weird too, because even though we've spoken to like Ian Weir before,
And Bob Buckley,
friend of the show, Bob Buckley, extra friend of the show. Like,
yeah,
we had the like he gave us the unreleased like MP3 like CD of his original reboot soundtrack, which is out there on YouTube on the Lasercomb channel. Yeah, we're gonna make another friend of the show here, and this is just like Siege is legitimate journalism. We have a legitimate actor that we may
yeah, I'm gonna be coy about who it is, but
yeah, me too. I'm just saying there's a legitimate actor coming, and I'm a little bit like, oh man, like, do I wear a suit? Like, well, how do I do this? Like, it's a very broad and extensive filmography.
Yeah, we're going to be interviewing an actor for the first time on Too Much Energon real soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Any other news, or is it we're gonna maybe we'll keep that under wraps?
Yeah, you'll find out. Listeners will find out who it is all very soon. Because
what about Too Much Energon?
Well,
are we wrapping up here? We've already mentioned that we're gonna cover the comics, right?
Yeah. We've folks, we've got Too Much Energon like episodes planned like well into the new year, so we're not going anywhere. I did, like, in the back of my mind, especially over the summer, and like I was going through stuff, and like I mentioned earlier, I died. I haven't talked about that really on air, but I was in it.
Such a drama queen, dying.
I was in a dark place, and well, I tried to end it all, and I succeeded, but I was brought back because of Cal, quite literally.
What you're saying is the Oracle, you saw the light, and the Oracle spoke to you and told you something about the seeds of the... No, nothing like that?
No, nothing at all. Actually, there's absolutely nothing when you pass. Apologies if that offends anyone, but it changed my outlook on life, because it is a absolute void of consciousness that is something I could have never truly understood until I experienced it personally. It is just pure nothingness.
So it was like losing consciousness and snapping like going to sleep?
No, not
never
even
really
like
bugged you about that.
It's
right?
not even like going to sleep. It's just it's just, like I said, it's pure nothingness. It's a void.
I can't contemplate that, because
no, and that's the thing is, like, I couldn't have either until I experienced it. Like, it's a pure void of just like no consciousness whatsoever, like no activity at all,
and like no perception of time.
No perception of time, no perception of reality. Dying's easy, coming back's real hard.
Yeah, so, well, we're the listeners who don't think you have a bullshit haircut, and myself, actually maybe even that listener who said that, we're glad you're here, and we're trucking on through the void. I had something deeper to say there, but then I completely forgot about it.
Well, what I'm gonna say is
I can't remember. Mental health awareness, like, stuff like that. That I wanted to like briefly touch about that. That, you know, like, shit happens to everyone, and it happens to you, and it happens to people you know, and we've avoided kind of like talking about
sometimes,
that there,
yeah. But that thing we haven't really like brought up.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm glad you're still trucking. That your spark was jammed back in your chest.
Yeah,
I actually don't know if they literally like shocked you, had to
I don't know what
resuscitate you.
I don't know what they. Well, for obvious reasons, I don't know what they did either.
Technically, you had to have been resuscitated.
Yeah, because my heart stopped. My heart stopped twice. I had to be revived in the ambulance, and I also had to be revived in the emergency room too. So like my body was really like trying to give up. My body was.
I
ready,
assume it's
if you
just
will.
smelling salts and a few slaps in the face, like like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
I
No,
don't remember. I don't remember
your spirit went up, and your body like did the thing where it pulled it back down.
Yeah.
I just sorry everybody. I make jokes about dark things all the time
Yes.
because
so
I
do
don't like peering into the void. So I make light of everything.
So one of the reasons why I brought that up was because I around that time when I was in like a really dark place, like I considered just like calling it quits after episode 100, just being like, no, we're like this is done. Like I don't want to do this anymore. But I don't feel that way anymore, and in fact, like I want to keep this show going for as long as both of us are willing and able to.
We always make that joke, right? Like that my forehead's going to be like halfway back on the back of my head, and I'll still dress like it's like 2005, and we'll be in our like wheelchairs or like walkers and be like, this week on Too Much Energon. What does Galavar like chocolate milk? After we've exhausted every single fucking Transformers resource like in existence, we're just gonna be like doing like
at that
like
point
AMAs and like speculative discussion.
Say at that point we're just like reviewing like G1 PSAs or like commercials for like just commercials for the toys.
Clothing from thrift shops like that we find.
Yeah.
I showed you a relative of mine had like a weird like a dinosaur like vaporwave like graphic like t-shirt they got from like Walmart or whatever, and I'm like, is this Megatron? And you're like, oh, not technically, sure, why not?
So yeah,
but
so
yeah, you were saying you've had a kind of you've revisited the thought of Too Much Energon, what it means to you.
And listeners, I have borderline personality disorder. I'm diagnosed with it. I think I manage it fairly well, and in fact, given my recent dating history, attempting to date someone else who has BPD, holy fuck, do I manage it way better than they did. So like I go back and forth on things in my head all the time, including things like just being like, all right, Lasercomb, Too Much Energon, Lasercomb Productions, it's all done. Like just pull
Shut
it
it down.
Shut it down.
Pull the lever and shut down everything.
Yeah, Walter Peck is just like, shut it off. Opens the containment unit and like ghosts like fly out everywhere. But no.
Dinobots ghost flies out.
But yeah, so I go back and forth in my head about everything in life all the time, including like just being like, no, I don't want to do the podcasting thing anymore. But no, I do. I want to keep doing this, and yeah, we're like I said, we're gonna press forward. We're gonna be talking about comics for the next little while on Too Much Energon. Next episode, we have an interview lined up. Then we're going to be talking about comics. We got our holiday specials coming up where we're going to be doing, I alluded to earlier, the Beast Wars Monopoly game that came out recently. And a couple other things that I'll save as nice little surprises. And then in the new year, on to more comics. we're going to be recycling episodes of our now defunct Too Much Galavar podcast where we talk about the 2021 Beast Wars comics. They'll just be repurposed into episodes of Too Much Energon for a couple of months,
and then finished because
and then finish because we didn't
Yeah.
finish it. So like eventually, like we'll pick that back up and just like talk about like subsequent issues. But it'll be kind of weird because at that point there'll be episodes we recorded like
apart.
there'll be episodes of that we recorded like 2 years ago at that point.
Oh, right, because
Yeah.
wow, it's been that long. Yeah,
We've been doing this for a while.
big old crocodile.
Big old crocodile. Do you know how much money I'm saving by living in a dumpster?
There's some dumpster diving,
There.
so to speak, with those comics.
So it's been so that's what's to come from Too Much Energon. We'll probably like get into the Japanese Beast Wars at some point after that.
Yeah,
Because at this point,
it's
why?
just fun too.
At this point, why not? And like we did that movie, and that movie was so like bananas stupid. Like there's going to be a lot of. I feel like there's going to be a lot of fodder for us
I
to
feel
just
like
like
I'm
make
in the
jokes about
headspace
things.
to like those more too.
Yeah. So it's
Would we
been.
ever do the movies? Like as in like fucking Michael Bay? Honestly, I'd rather go back. No, like go and
Well-
watch like some other mainstream.
Gee, I would eventually like I would rather just like go back to the beginning, like go back 4 million years in the past and just start talking about G1 because that cartoon is like quite
it's not
comical to
great,
revisit. No, it's not. But
like
it's
in chunks, I'd rather do that. Like, do you know what I mean? Watch an
Yeah.
hour's worth of G1.
yeah,
Like episodes 1 through 4. Boom. Let's talk about that. Then watch the Michael Bay movies. And it's a product of its time. I still say that the first one is
first one's all right,
all right. And again, I haven't watched Bumblebee.
which we
Siege really.
we might be watching soon. Let's talk about
Mm.
holiday specials.
But fuck, there's 7 of them, 6. We talk about this every now and then again, and it's just like at some point I was like, what is this? This is like masturbatory, like sheets of metal making shapes and laser sounds.
Yeah, I don't have like a ton of interest in talking about the Michael Bay movies on this show. Like I would do a commentary track for like the first one, maybe.
Yeah, there again, like maybe some sort of live commentary on Bumblebee. Or
Yeah, for like
whatever.
Patreon or
But
something. But like
I think comfortably we're not moving towards that moving forward.
but eventually when Transformers Rise of the Beasts comes out, like we most definitely will have to talk about that on this show.
I feel like that's of a different. That's different
because
it's not.
that's actually going to have like our favorite Beast formers like realized on the big screen for the first time.
That'll be weird. Because
Yeah,
again, anyone listening to this, like this is a long ass episode, but it's episode 100. When we started this, there weren't like the War for Cybertron wasn't out.
Yeah.
There wasn't the that resurgence of War for Cybertron like toy line out, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and there wasn't like the IDW comic like
the IDW comic wasn't announced.
what I've also noticed too, because listeners, when I'm communicating through people with people via text, I like to use GIFs a lot. The amount of Beast Wars GIFs since we started this podcast has like increased by like 1,000%. Like originally, it was just like half.
That's an accurate portrayal. You'd have to really hunt, and it would be like
You'd find like half dozen. of them.
one, and you'd have to really type in the right thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Like,
now
Beast
you just
Wars
type
wouldn't
in
show
Beast
them all.
Wars, and there's this massive like list of GIFs from like various different
That's
episodes.
a good. There you go. That's a good pop culture way to gauge how popular something has been. It's like we used to have to hunt for these things.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, do I have to make them out of the episodes myself?
Hmm.
God. And now they're all over the place. One of my favorites is depressed teenage Cheetor in his living quarters.
Oh yeah. From
like
that
looking sad with Dinobot, like just talking to him.
yeah. One of my favorites is the shot of Silverbolt where he's holding the radio with his eyebrow raised.
Yeah, as if he just like heard something stupid.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Beast Wars is like making a weird resurgence, and
I like to
tried
think
in the past, but
I like to think we're a part of that somehow.
absolutely the number one Beast Wars podcast on the net.
The world's
at me.
foremost Beast Wars podcast, at least.
The world's foremost. Yeah.
Speaking of, well, on the subject of podcasts, like, again, this is episode 100 of Too Much Energon, milestone episode. This has been a great experience overall for the past, like, year and a half, almost, or 2.5 years, almost now. We recorded the first episode on July 31st of 2020, and at the time of recording, it is now Halloween, October 31st of 2022. It's been a wild ride, and during that time, me and Cal have known each other since like 2008, because as we've mentioned this before, we met because we worked at the same Blockbuster.
That's how old we are.
That is how old we are.
When I was your age, I couldn't just go to a streaming site and watch things. I had to walk 15 miles uphill and see if there was a physical copy. Often there wasn't, and then I had to walk back home.
If I wanted to watch the newest season of 24, I had to go to the video store and rent each disc individually. But oh shit, disc 4 out of 6 was rented, so I had to miss 4 episodes in the middle of the season. Anyone our age
was good enough.
Anyone our age knows that struggle right there.
And that was good enough, damn it.
But yeah, no, our me and Cal's friendship has grown exponentially closer in that time. So I want to give a special thank you to you, good sir, for doing the show with me and all the other shows that we've been doing for the past 2.5 years, all this time, because it's been a joy.
Yeah, it has been. It's helped me escape my own existential dread.
And I said this during the preamble, but
also kind of go into a fandom and
yeah,
like learn more about it and enjoy it more.
I said this in the preamble, but I'm gonna say it on air too. I'm never gonna have children. I'm never gonna have a family or anything like that. I'm never realistic. Like, I wanted to like get into the entertainment business. Realistically, I'm probably not going to at this point in my life. Doing these shows and having them like out there is kind of my legacy, is how I'm viewing it at this point. These are things that will persist after I'm gone. This will be the way I leave my mark on the world. And if anyone is like cringing about that as they listen to this, I don't care.
I'll have you know,
this is what
we
got.
were raised on cringe. We're the cringe generation. Sure, Gen Z might be shameless with their TikToks and their like reaction videos, but millennials invented cringe.
But yeah, this is my way of leaving my mark on the world. This is what I got, and this is it.
So what you're saying is too much energon is what you got. I said, remember that. It doesn't really.
Energon
2 out of 10
is what I got. I said too much. Energon is what I got.
There's another thing that dates us.
Sublime.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before, but like I have teenagers at the grocery store that I work at. My subordinates are mostly teenagers, like from the ages of like 16 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
They're all good kids. But one of them says to me the other day, or yesterday, he was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Sublime?" And I was like, I start laughing. I'm like, I grew up in the
Gather round, children, around the fire, and I shall tell ye a tale as old as time.
I started laughing, and I was like, man, I grew up in the 90s. Of course, I know who Sublime is. He did that with me too before about the Offspring. He's like, hey, have you ever heard of the Offspring? And I was like, again, I grew up in the 90s, friend. Like, of course I know who they are.
Let me just say, my friend has a girlfriend and he hates that bitch. Tells me every day. But on the other hand, that's actually
and
really
I say,
cool.
yeah. Because I have played Crazy Taxi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget that's the Offspring.
So to start wrapping things up, I want to give some shout outs to some canonized listeners that we've had with us for quite a while.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Jared. You know who you are. You've been with us for a while. You listen to all our shows. You're a Patreon subscriber. You have sent me stuff in the mail, and you're great. And
it hasn't been poo or bombs.
And we've chatted on the Discord and on Patreon before, and you're a cool dude. So
he likes my memes, even if no one else does.
I want to give.
Does he watch all of our stuff?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. Also, he's not even old like us.
I think he's in his late 20s. Like, I could be. Apologies if I'm getting this wrong, but I think he's mentioned he's like 28-ish.
Something out there. Not even in the same country. So he mailed you your stuff international.
I want to give a shout out to Josh, Unique Exemplar. You know who you are. He's been listening to us. I think he just he's been listening to us for a while, because I think I remember him first like tweeting at us when around the time we were wrapping up Beast Wars, so around like episode 45 or 46 or so.
Yeah, and at the
because I remember
have a Twitter yet, or
because I remember him tweeting at us being like, "Hey, I just discovered your show, and now you're wrapping up." Like,
yeah.
And I was at the time I was being coy about what we were going to be doing. I'm like, "Oh, we're not going anywhere. The show's continuing on, so keep listening." He's also a Patreon subscriber, so big shout out. Also fellow queer individual, so extra shout out to you. Shout out to
tune in on our discussion of non-binary candy.
Shout out to Bemuse Horseman, another patron. He's also, I don't know if he listens to this show or not. I think he does, but I'm not sure.
Bemused Horseman's definitely mostly a probably a alphanumeric
right
fan.
Also shout out
patron.
Also shout out to Cone Killer Confusor, who definitely started out listening to us because of our Reboot podcast, but I'm pretty sure he listens to Too Much Energon now as well.
They've commented on Lasercomb stuff, even if they didn't watch it. They've commented on it. And was it Cone Killer Confusor that did some of the fan art stuff?
He did. Fan art.
Multiple
right here.
things.
Air Doctor. Reboot joke right there.
That was that was an alphanumeric joke from
quite a while
various
ago.
Bumbling of words and
that was
rolling with it.
Yeah, that was misspeaking and just being like, fuck it, let's just roll with it.
Air Doctor,
which is actually a skill that I personally have developed, and with
there you go.
Podcasting, like fucking things up and just rolling with it, just rolling with it to keep the or in broader strokes, actually, learning to just roll with the discussion to keep the discussion going.
Yeah, something that doing this many podcasts has taught me to like listen better, like actually legitimately, and knowing when to just move on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I wanted to talk about that. If it's not interesting when we're doing the podcast, it's like, okay, wait, in real life, why should I speak like that too? So it's kind of
Right.
like helped me do like that chit chat. Like I don't need to go back to what I was talking about 5 minutes ago and correct someone on whatever. And also just being more self-deprecating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you say something dumb or whatever, just like going and owning it.
Well, and weirdly enough, like I feel like because like I take those kind of lessons that I've learned doing these shows and I apply them into IRL now. What I've noticed is people like me more, which is a weird thing to say, but like it's especially noticeable because I've relocated to a new town and I'm meeting new people. But what I've noticed is people like me more than they did when I was younger. And I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I feel like it probably does. And I tend to just get along with people better.
What we're saying, folks, is we're better at hiding who we really are and putting on a mask to interact with society so that we are better accepted by our peers.
That's exactly what we're saying.
No, I think it's more in the lines of
Just learning
to
how-
communicate better.
Learning to communicate better. Speaking of communications, also shout out to Lady Glitch.
Oh, you know what? I was just thinking that in my head, and I was like, wait, where have I heard that before? Yeah, shout out to Lady Glitch.
Yeah, she has a
Her
master's.
relationship status has changed from fan to friend to co-host to.
So yeah. So she started out as the reason why I said speaking of communications is she has a master's degree in communications. So she started out as listener, guest host,
Listener, friend of the show, guest host,
friend, host. Me and her were romantically linked for a while. I've never really addressed this, but that's not a thing anymore. But we're still really good friends, and we still talk all the time.
Disgusting.
I know, right?
Not the still being friends, but being romantically involved. How dare you?
Oh yeah, I know, right?
In the workplace. No.
Where is my rubber ducky?
And there you go. Took the words out of my mouth. But yeah, there's no hard feelings. What is that?
Yeah.
That's the thing. My brain just did and you mean bad feelings? You mean rough feelings? And I was like, nobody says hard feelings. And then my brain finished rebooting and it was like, no, hard feelings is the term you're looking for.
Your brain finished rebooting.
Imagine like rebooting and just like, instead of your clothes and your equipment like being different, it was like that one episode of Reboot where like you actually changed into a different sprite, but instead of being a cool like virus or like whatever, you transform into, I don't know, like Mike the TV.
Yes.
Exactly. Truly nightmarish stuff. Non-reboot fans, if you like OG like Beast Wars, I feel like there's such overlap there that there can't be nobody. I'm a broken record, but it feels like they have to be the same fan base almost, but not necessarily.
No, and it actually kind of because like for me, like I was a fan of Reboot, and then I discovered Beast Wars, and then I was like, oh man, they're both from
Mainframe Entertainment,
and then I got into Shadow Raiders because it's like, oh man, the new show from Mainframe.
Hell yeah!
I was like, hell yeah. But what I've noticed is there isn't as much crossover between those fan bases as you would think.
No, and maybe it was just like a Canadiana kind of like YTV.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that. But yeah, not as much crossover as there is. But I think if there's an adult that enjoys Beast Wars and not just because they enjoy Transformers in general, maybe they'd like Reboot. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to say.
Also want to give a shout out to Dan from What the Famicom. He's been on the show before. He's also a listener. Friend of the show. Good guy.
Yeah,
really,
we need to.
Really funny dude.
I feel like he should have been on the show like way more times than he actually has.
I tried to get him on the show recently, and he wasn't able to because of scheduling conflicts. But I would, and he has like said like, hey, I'd like to be on the show again. So
Yeah, exactly.
we'll have Dan on the show again, definitely.
We
Even if it's just another like hangout episode where we don't
Yeah.
really talk about much.
Yeah, or we could sneak attack him and like ambush him with a comic.
Yeah.
Like be like, hey, read this. And then be like, oh shit. And just like throw him into the middle of IDW's like story.
Right. We get him to read like the last issue.
Like just the last issue and be like, well, you just caught a random issue of IDW's Beast Wars.
Would you buy it next month?
Would you buy it next month?
It doesn't
No.
matter. No, because the series was cancelled.
Take that. Yeah. It would be interesting to see a random. Do you know if he's a comic reader, an enjoyer of comics?
I don't actually. I don't think so.
I should. I'll tweet him and bug him and be like, are you a casual enjoyer of comics, good sir?
I'd be interested to see what his response is. Also want to give a shout out to Ian Weir, friend of the show. We interviewed him quite a while ago now, over a year ago now.
Yeah, and you've checked out his recent publications too.
Yeah, he's published 3 books. I actually own hard copies of all of them. I've read one of them. I need to read his latest book, but unfortunately, I've moved a couple of times
There's
in the
lots
past
of-
few months, ladies and gentlemen, and
Bullshit getting in the way.
lots of bullshit getting in the way. And I have no idea where his books are right now, but I definitely still have them. So when I find them, I'm going to start reading that latest one. Great interview. It was our first interview that we did. Great guy. So big shout out to him. Shout out to Bob Buckley, who we interviewed for episode 69. Nice.
Nice.
Of Too Much Energon. It was kind of a dual publication. It was an interview that was episode 69 of Too Much Energon. It was also episode something of Alphanumeric 48 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did the music for both Reboot and Beast Wars and Shadow Raiders, so the interview being used for both shows just made sense to me, because we kind of talked about everything. Mostly talked about Reboot, but we also talked about Beast Wars.
Everything,
and
and like the career at the time and what it was like for producers, and
yeah,
how modern modern instrumentation like changed on the turn of the century, and how that changed for like artists. And even he reflected a lot of the things Ian Weir said, where it's like what's it called, not contracting, but like, yeah, I guess contracting or whatever, where like
work for hire.
Yeah, individuals won't like do like write for one episode like here or there, be brought on. It's more of like this is our permanent cast kind of thing. And so Ian Weir and Bob Buckley both had a lot of interesting peeks behind the curtain to like that industry and how it changed.
Yeah. So
check
shout
those out again. Yeah.
Shout out to both of them. Both very very great chats. And for me to be able to say, like, if I could go back in time to like 12-year-old me and be like, hey, 12-year-old Christopher, you're gonna actually get to talk to the guy who wrote the episode where Starscream possesses Waspinator, and you're also gonna get to talk to the guy who did the music for Reboot and Beast Wars. Like, it's just it's rad. It's one of those things that I'm very, very proud of, that I was able to do, and very, very grateful that they were willing to come on the show and be a part of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and seeing those names in like the credits like all the time is so it is nice to say. You did a tweet about this. It was like 12-year-old me would think like present me was fucking rad.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
I think I said like 11-year-old Siege would think 37-year-old Siege is the coolest grown up ever.
And I think that's I I think that's a pretty noteworthy like statement. Like be the adult that the child you would think is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like even outside of like a vain or like pride or whatever you want to call it thing. Like do you want to be the adult that you thought was fucking lame? I didn't back then, and you know what? I don't now.
Same. And definitely not the I'm definitely not the kind of grown up that I would have thought was like lame and boring. Like listeners, you can't see, but like all around my room, I have like fucking Transformers, like literally thousands of dollars worth of Transformers.
11-year-old Siege walking into that room. Gotta say, he'd be
Yeah.
pretty hype.
I've got like boxed Transformers on my wall. I've got an entire shelf dedicated to just various forms of Cheetor. I've also got like figures
the
of
Cheetor shrine, yeah.
the shrine to Cheetor. I've also got like Spawn action figures. I've got like RoboCop action figures. I've got Metal Gear figures. I've got like Power Rangers shit. Like I've got like several like Daredevil toys. Like I'm living I'm living the 11-year-old Siege dream right now.
Exactly.
I I'm I've said for years that like I'm too old to grow up, and that still rings true, I think.
But also, growing up was a lie. Fuck you guys. You lied to me. Turns out that like growing up or being an adult was just living long enough where you can lie to kids.
Yeah.
For me, if you had nice parents and nice um adult
We've talked about this before.
yeah, if you had nice adult role models in your life when you were younger,
Good for
wow,
you.
I'm
That's
shocked, but
great.
two, good for you.
Yeah.
But I can think of like 1.5 like interactions of my childhood where an adult was constructive.
Yeah. Well,
Usually teachers or people not in my family.
I got one more thing I'm gonna bring on camera
All
because
right, all
why
right.
the fuck not? It's episode 100. Let's see if I
I've
can
got
get
one more thing.
I got one more
folks.
thing. I actually
I
got
swear
this
to God, if it's the 2-foot Cheetor,
the
I'm
unholy
gonna riot.
abomination. No, this is something actually Lady Glitch sent me,
Oh,
but I've never actually talked about it on air. But it's really cool. So look at this.
oh shit! I almost forgot you. Excuse me, princess. I almost forgot you got that. So, listeners, he's got Galavar and Gary Primal together at last. WrestleMania 2022. In package DVD included. 10th anniversary Beast Wars.
Yeah. So
figurines.
what this is this is the original 1996 Mega Beast, Optimus Primal, and Megatron toys. But they've been in 2006. They were re-released in a 2-pack together with new paint schemes and new head molds to make them look much more show accurate than the original toys.
I looked up the original. Those ones that you have, the 10th anniversary, look way more show accurate.
Well, and indeed, here is the 2021 reissue of the original Megatron toy. The head
And he's
mold's
got
not
that grimace, but
it's not bad, but like the 2006 reissue is much more show accurate. Same with our man Gary. But yeah, and it came with a DVD. I think it was the DVD contains the episode Possession, which was written by a friend of the show, Ian Weir. So that was the thing that
starring friend of the show, Waspinator.
Before his long journey.
Yeah, before he turned into turned into. Wait, I had said Silverbolt was thrust earlier. No.
No, Silverbolt. Yeah, Silverbolt was
Storm.
Jetstorm,
Fire?
right?
Jetstorm.
Jetstorm.
Jet
Yeah.
Scream? Jetstorm.
We all scream
Wasp-
for Night Scream.
We all scream for Night Scream. The unholy abomination that we wish didn't exist. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So thank you to Lady Glitch for sending that to me. I will send you the cash for that at some point.
Ooh. Well, the sun is going down. The moon is rising.
Both
on,
moons.
Both moons. Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it's about time to wrap this up. This has been episode 100 of Too Much Energon. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. We're at the single $5 tier, known as the Gary tier. You get bonus preamble audio, which I've talked about in this episode. You get commentary tracks, which we've talked about in this episode. You get our news and current events program, Lasercomb Tonight. And you also get the opportunity to pick a show for us to review a random episode on the Lasercomb podcast. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/lasercomb. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Lasercomb as well, spelled the same way. Or you can follow the show at Too Much Energon. Or you can follow Cal at...
Yeah, follow me on Twitter too at NeoCal, NEO_KAL.
We'll be back very soon with episode 101 of Too Much Energon, where we're going to be interviewing a certain someone. And again, I'm gonna save it as a surprise for who it is.
A little hint, it has something to do with Transformers.
Yes, it does. Until then, I have been Christopher, one of your hosts.
Yeah, and I'm Cal, your other host.
Thanks for listening to us for the past 100 episodes. And until next time, Beast Mode.
Beast Mode.
Before we go, forgot to mention that we are going to be ending this 100th episode with a lengthy little audio clip that I like to call the some of the greatest hits of Too Much Energon. And here it is.
You know what? Trying is better than doing nothing. I always say. That's the motto of Too Much Energon.
Trying is better than nothing, much like this podcast.
Too much energy.
Code reaching Sector 7. Guidance system failing.
Plasma cannons to full power.
Shields are doing a major fade.
We're going down.
Yes, the planet has Energon.
Too much Energon. Continued exposure to unaltered forms will result in permanent damage.
Create alternative forms based on the most powerful local creatures. Too much Energon.
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 He was lying on his back, not moving, and like presume his eyes fading black was like him closing his eyes, I guess. And then like 10 seconds later, he just gets up and looks around. And he's like, "I've decided that I want to live."
Too much Energon.
Yeah, you got the pterosaur figure, and he's like a little pterodactyl, and you flip his head up, and his tail and body flips down, and bada bing, bada boom, he's transformed. Big fucking deal.
Too much Energon.
So I don't know, they're arguing in the ship, and it's just like, "Hey, Cheetor, we have a mission for you, despite the fact you fucked up every single other mission you've ever done." And he's like, "No problem, big boss, blah blah, I'm a cat."
Too much Energon.
I'm not gonna say that Pterosaur's charged up voice necessarily does it for me, but what I am gonna say is that they're on the right track.
So you can see how some people might find his voice attractive, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So sexy pterosaur goes, fuck yeah, time to go kick Megatron's ass.
Too much Energon.
I've been wrong about like every single thing I've ever said about even stuff that I know. After the podcast will end, I'll like smack my head and go, what the hell? Why did I say that? Yeah,
I've had a few of those moments too. See, I just edit them
Yeah.
out when I say them.
Too much Energon.
Rhinox is like, Cheetor, what have you done?
What have you done, son? Killing Uncle Optimus. You gave your uncle a beer. He's been sober for 2 days.
Too much Energon.
Too much Energon interference.
Too much Energon, like this podcast. Yeah. Oh, and then he shoots up in the air. There's one in them grounds.
Yeehaw! And then he eye lasers.
Too much Energon.
The holidays are coming, and what better Christmas gift than the gift of me and Cal talking about Beast
Of
Wars?
2 men in their 30s talking about a cartoon from the 90s. Dad, Mom, I know that you've been together for over 30 years now, and I just wanted to say you should check out this guy's podcast.
Too much Energon.
He's wearing it like a beer hat on his head with like tubes going into his mouth.
It's literally like a beer hat. You wear at a baseball game.
Which I kind of appreciate because like we've painted Rhinox as this like beer drinking trucker for the past like few months now.
Yeah, I'm feeling fine. Back to normal self.
I could drink 6 more of these. Still get up and go to work tomorrow like it ain't no thing.
I do every other day.
Too much Energon.
Now we actually get to see Dinobot's heads. Man, I'm just saying, okay, they're in the air and it's hard to hit them, yes, but if they were on the ground, what better tactical maneuver when you're surrounded? Other than eye lasers and your head spinning. Perfect defense. Prove me wrong.
Too much Energon.
Yeah, cheetahs would eat a fucking pizza.
I tell you what, a cheetah would eat a motherfucking rat. And that motherfucking rat is eating all the fucking cheese. He's eating all of Aunt Ganouli's motherfucking cheese, so we ain't eating any fucking pizza because there's no fucking cheese. So have the fucking cheetah eat the fucking rat, so he ain't eating our fucking cheese, so we can eat some fucking pizza, yeah?
Hey, Louie, how much a fucking cheetah cost?
Yeah, I know a guy, you know?
Too much Energon.
This is mostly going to be us talking about the Raptorbot Chronicles and Metal Gear Solid, I think.
Actually, after the episode ended, I was like, I wonder what Dinobot was up to during this whole episode, because he doesn't appear.
That's what... Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, whatever he was doing is probably more interesting than whatever's happening in the episode. I like the multiverse where Scorponok and Pterosaur are alive, and Quick Strike is not.
I feel like my life would have turned out differently if that had been the season 2 of Beast Wars that I had grown up watching.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that the whole world would have been in a better place.
Too much Energon.
I'm amazed that there are good plans on the show again. Usually it's just like, blah, 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 Beast Wars once and for all.
Too much Energon.
Like, he literally gets up in his
Fucking
face.
puts him in a
Does that
headlock.
make you angry? You fucking nerd?
Puts him in a headlock, gives him a noogie. Yeah,
Say
that-
Galabar! No! Say Galabar! No! That was my filthy beast name.
You like being called Galabar, don't you? No! Say you like it. Say you like it, you little bitch. You like being called Galabar. Okay! Yes! Yes! Yes!
The old Megatron's back. Yeah.
Beast mode.
Too much Energon.
Cheetor is starting to doubt Optimus's
Competence.
competence. Fuck, I don't know why I couldn't get that word out.
Computer graphic.
Computer generated insurgency.
Insurgency. There we go. That's what That's what CGI means.
That's too much Energon canon now.
Too much Energon.
So this golden bud, this one's for you. And he shakes it and he cracks open the golden key. The what's the key called again?
The key to Vector Sigma. So okay, so
Sigma balls, Gary. And he sprays Gary Primal with the laser from the Vector Sigma key, and
my
like,
balls, Gary.
Too much Energon.
Although I was
Spirit
having
is willing, but the flesh is spongy and weak.
The name of my sex tape.
Too much Energon.
Play like the conspiracy music. Like those fucking like conspiracy TikToks.
The X-Files theme.
Fade into the Illuminati. Fade into the intro. Rubber alien on it like an autopsy table. Okay.
And then just like random cuts of like Beast Wars toys.
Beast Wars toys with like their limbs, like them just lying on a table beside each other.
And then the shot of Megatron with his like spark thing that he would like torture Rampage with as the X-Files theme is playing.
Him holding the scalpel coming into the screen.
Too much Energon.
Is one of them a squid? That's not very maximal.
Optimus
Oh right,
Riot.
but okay, so depth charge broke the mammal rule or bird or rule, right? But there's a squid here. So fish can go on either side. If you're like a squid, you can join the maximals. If you're a shark, you can join the Predacons.
So
there's no rules here. I don't know.
So sea life are the bisexuals of the Beast Wars world.
Yeah, they can go either way.
They can go either way.
Too much Energon.
And that's why the base is made of plastic. Because kids will, this is kind of genius. Kids are playing this game. Make the bottom plastic.
So
Right?
so when they spill their whiskey,
When they
and Coke,
inevitably spill their whiskey and coke, it doesn't hit the board or the card.
Too much Energon.
Now listen here, Gary, we didn't always see eye to eye, and, I made some mistakes, especially after having, 12 too many beers, but, you were always all right by my books, and, well, now I'm paying the price for, all that shit that I did, so, peace out. Here's to you.
Pour one out for me when you get back home, brother.
It's kind of an unceremonious end to Rhinox.
Hey,
Anyway.
too late for you, man. Stop. You gotta stop drinking a 12-pack a day.
Take it down to 6.
Too much Energon.
Too much Energon.
too much Energon.
Too much Energon.
No, not that.
More than a sufficient amount.